Hey guys, welcome back. Welcome back. We are in for a treat today. If you see the person on the screen right now, we are joined for the first time ever in the history of this channel. We are joined by Mr. Earn Collects. If you guys are not following Earn, if you look in the description of the video, it's the very top link. Make sure you check out his YouTube video. He's been really going hard at the YouTube game for the last couple months now. He's making some super quality content. He's bringing a very unique insight. He's one of the few people that actually is kind of trying to dabble in both talking about the vintage market and the modern crazy everything goes up market too. So I want to pick his brain on a lot of these things. But first, Mr. Earn, I just want to say thank you very much, man, for
Thanks, dude.
doing the most gracious of things somebody could do is donating to me their time. I understand, Earn, you are a very busy man, but just for anybody out there who may not be familiar with you, just do a quick introduction, tell everybody a little bit about yourself, man. But I appreciate
Yeah.
you.
First, that's like the best intro anyone's ever given me. But I guess like you and I have a lot of friends like that overlap, but you and I've actually
Yeah.
never actually engaged with each other.
Isn't that
Um,
crazy though?
yeah, that is kind of weird.
Yeah.
Anyway, I go by Earn. I say I'm a buyer, seller, trader, collector, vendor, grader, because I've done it all and I do it all. I'm an aspiring dust lord, so I collect a bunch of old stuff. Uh, Prince of Dark Plays, if you will. I've been around since what is it, 6 years now. So 6 long years in the hobby. When Sword and Shield first came out, and for me, I think a lot of where I am today was really based off of like spending too much money, getting back in, spending too much money, and then realizing like, oh crap, like I have a bunch of stuff that's just piling up. And so when it comes to collecting, like a very pro collecting, when it comes to investing, I'm kind of like anti investing because I understand like the benefit of doing it, but I also understand like the mundaneness of telling people to do it. And
Yeah.
so it's very interesting to see people talk about that topic, but then a lot of people not actually be able to do it or actually be able to be here for 5 years. Like I couldn't tell you outside of like some booster boxes what I've held on to for 5 years. Anyway, um, these days I do upload more often. I started this channel actually a year ago, but before this channel, I actually had a previous channel that I launched like 15 years ago, and I used to make a lot of Call of Duty content. And so that channel was was birthed at like the start of YouTube, and it had like 60,000 subscribers, and it dwindled down to like 40,000. I made the mistake early on of flipping. I was trying to flip that channel into Pokemon,
Mm.
and I didn't realize that these days, like your channel has a bunch of like hidden signals built in. And so if you have an audience that was founded on one type of content and you're trying to switch it to another, like it just doesn't work that way. And I
Interesting.
think like within the first month, when I uploaded uh, regularly on this channel, I was already getting more views than on my previous channel that had like 45,000 subs.
Wow.
So in terms of
It's just that
content,
algorithm picking up, huh? Just knowing like, okay, this guy's doing Pokemon, it's nothing. That's interesting.
I mean, the algorithm stuff is true. Like they try to match you with people that share the same interests. They try to make sure that whoever's scrolling is going to see content that's relevant to them. So I totally believe in all that. In terms of content, the funny thing is when I decided to record, we're all fans of Dan, Clan Dan. Um, there's so much narrative.
He's all right. He's all
Yeah,
right.
we're
I
yeah.
don't know how I feel
Dan's
about
okay.
Dan sometimes.
There was so much narrative at the time, and I would always watch his streams, and like you could tell how much of a fence sitter he is, but also how annoyed he gets at like dumb people and dumb questions. And you know, I mean, I have a lot of opinions on different things. I just started recording myself, and at the time, my in-laws came to visit, and I had started recording, and then I couldn't figure out like where to record because it's like where do you record? It's kind of awkward. Like you would never see me record in public. It's just
Yeah.
weird. And so I just decided to drive in the car. And ever since I did that, that's just been how I record content. Like 9 times out of 10, outside of the podcast I do with Jodo Jake, I'll be in the car, I'll put the phone on a mount, and I just start talking. And the average length of video back in the day, like last year, was like 30 plus minutes. I just did like 2 1 hour videos, and I'm just like literally talking to myself. And apparently, um, it's people like that. So
That's
yeah,
gonna
that's
resonate with people. I call it like the shower thoughts, you know. I guess in your case it's the driving thoughts, but I make the joke all the time. I say every time I take a shower, I'm taking a shower and I'm like, today's the day. What are you doing? Sell it all. Like you're crazy. And then I have to like get out of the shower and I'm like, okay, I'm calmed down now. Like we're good. One more day. We're not gonna sell it all. But no, I think that type of content is absolutely awesome, and I like it too because it's very raw. Like it's a one take thing. Like you're not going back, you're not chopping up, editing up the video. It's just whatever your thoughts are at that moment in that time. And I think content like that, where I think all off the cuff long form content is valuable, is it shows you a snapshot of time, right? So it's like
yeah,
how
yeah.
your brain is thinking on that day. And I feel like so many people, they get in their rut or whatever, they dig their feet in, they're so unwilling to change. And like people hold people to things they say so long ago, as gospel. And it's like one of the best things about this hobby is you're constantly changing, adapting. And you might have your basic fundamentals of how you buy, sell, collect, trade, stuff like that, but it's
You'll get the
constantly
hang of it.
changing.
You'll get the hang of
Yeah.
it.
But
It takes
no,
a few
it's
tries.
been fun to watch your brain, just how it works on a daily, and I've been really enjoying that type of content.
I appreciate it. It's still very weird to me, and sometimes I go through like dry spells where I don't want to talk to myself in a car, you know. Um, and it's weird because this channel, and I'm very very grateful and happy about this. It's still part of the algorithm, no matter how much I don't upload. So like
Sure.
I took like 3.5 weeks off, come back, and I still get the same amount of views. And so
Yeah.
that's motivating. As of late, I've taken it a bit more seriously. I do a podcast with Jodo Jake. It's a meme title. It's called Real Collectors, Fake Investors. It's a meme title because, like, what is a real collector? You know, let's this is debate, right? Like, what does that even
Yeah.
mean? And
Yeah.
then fake investors is it's kind of paying homage to the fact that like we all just kind of accidentally invest all the time, and like it's not about plays. It's not about buying this modern sealed. Like you buy something 3 years ago and it's probably going to be more expensive today. Like
Yeah.
so, I do
Or you
that, and
or in
then
this market you buy something last week and it's more expensive
yeah,
in the
yeah,
mail by the time it gets to you, and you're like, man, I hope the post office doesn't lose this. But
yeah. This market right now is I still don't know what to make of it. Like I started a new job 6 months ago, and before that I was talking to Jar Chomp and Uyama's Trading, and they were talking about like going full time and all that stuff, and we had to debate like why we wouldn't. And if the market was the way that it is today, back then, I would have gone full time for sure. But
mm,
I chose not to because I don't think any of us could have predicted how crazy the last 3 to 6 months have been. Like, obviously the hobby's going to do well. I didn't think it was going to crash, but to think that it would have grown that much, like I did not. If I knew that, I definitely would have just like gone full time and dived in head first.
yeah. So I quit my job February 1st of 2025, was like my first full day Pokemon. And yeah, I did have a hunch. Everybody was kind of speculating at the time, like it's going strong until the 30th. And I always was pushing back on that. I'm like, why does everyone give this imaginary date? Like the 30th happens and then it drops off a cliff. And I didn't put any weight to that, but I just got a feel for the market. And I was just like, if, and then it got to a point where I was in a good spot where every day that I was going to work, it was just costing me money. Like where most of the time you go to work because that's where you make your money. It was like, no, every time I go to work, I could have made more money if I was just sitting at home in my grandma's basement, like, doing what I normally was doing. And yeah, so everything just worked out for me. But no, when you say the last 3 months, though, I didn't expect what this moment of time we're in right now. But we talked about a little bit pre-stream, and it goes to the, is everyone just kind of right now? Because the old debate used to be modern versus vintage, vintage versus modern, and at the end of the day, everybody was right. And then you had the two people were both right, where pop doesn't matter. Pikachu with gray felt hat, pop does not matter. And then people said pop does matter. E-reader reverse hollows, and like in the same sentence, pop doesn't matter, pop does matter. They both can be true at the exact same moment, and we're seeing that happen real time. So, just kind of, what are your thoughts on that? Is just like, at the end of the day, are we just so spoiled in Pokemon that everyone is right until eventually we're wrong? And then you have to really try hard to find things that haven't worked out in like the last 2 years, which is not a long time in
Well,
any
not
stretch.
necessarily true. I have some I have
Yeah,
some examples.
well,
I bought a at card party. I was yapping about how temporal full arts or SIRs are going to do well, and they've
oh,
all just
yeah, that's,
yeah.
I stay
Anyway,
away from like modern single
yeah,
plays like
yeah.
that, but
Um, yeah. What's funny is when I got back in, some vintage had punked because of COVID, but then it tapered off, right?
yeah.
And the idea of low pop mattering was like, dude, that's just like old people talking, like old guard. It does not matter. Why are you talking about this? And then modern, really, with Sword and Shield proved out that like pop doesn't really matter if demand is high enough, right? I think what's interesting about what's going on through today is I think people eventually graduate out of modern or maybe alongside with modern, and they look at what else they should buy, what else they can buy, and naturally you're going to go backwards in time. And I think that backwardness is like base set onwards and then moving into mid era. Mid era, I still think is kind of under. I shouldn't say this. It is not as appreciated as the sets before it. So I think that's like a natural like progression of people in the hobby. If you've been here for like 3, 4, 5 years, you're probably not going to keep buying modern in relation to where else can you spend that money. Um, I also think that like there's external money that's coming in that has the ability to deploy and doesn't care like what they're buying. And because things are low pop and the market's doing so well, like it really only takes like two people who aren't shield betting to drive the price of like what you just said, like a PSA 10, common e-reader. So I think you just have like these instances where there's a point where if enough people participate across all the things in the market, then unless there's downward selling pressure, which low pop cards there's only so many, then you can expect a floor moving forward for a lot of these cards. Um, I do think a lot of it is organic. Let me just say that, but I do think a substantial percentage of the demand is either um, just external money trying to make money, which there's nothing wrong with that, I guess, or it's like crypto money. I actually truly believe that there's a lot of crypto money that's coming in. People don't want to talk about it, um, and um, again, it's not like bad, right? It's like net good for the hobby, I guess. But I think when people believe that like, oh, mid-air PC10s are like popping off, I don't know if the buyer pool is as big as people think. I I might be wrong, but I want to see it before I believe it. And I just feel like money's just sloshing around because these things are easy to drive demand for and manipulate, right?
Where would you like, so where are you deploying your money right now? Are you starting to focus? And, this is a problem. We're running into a period of time where I know you said you speculated on temporal SIRs and stuff, but, it's hard to lose right now, or at least
Yeah.
it feels like it's hard to lose. And you look at, and I talk about this a lot on my channel, is stuff seems to just gap up. And it used to be like relatively hard. Yeah, I shouldn't say that. It's never been hard. It's just like stuff starts to gap up like once it gets close to being coming out of rotation. So I shouldn't even say it's hard. I feel like it's like, I'll give you an example. 151. people will sit there and they'll say, "Oh, no one saw this coming." It's like, no, like a lot of people. In fact,
Who
like
says that?
exactly, like
Literally
people are,
every
well, because
yeah.
you know why? Because people always quote like, "Oh, there was a UPCs sitting at Costco for $80 and nobody wanted them," and it was like, again, that is that's kind of like straw man in the argument. It's like, no, a lot of people were
Everybody wanted them.
buying it,
That's why they aren't
you
cheap
were
anymore.
buying into them, and your capital is only so far, and when the supply is unlimited in relative to your capital, you just can't buy them all, and like,
Yeah.
I always hated that. But at the end of the day, it's like, you look at 151, it's like, did anyone, and I mean this, do you think there was anybody out there who looked at 151, said, Kanto, 151 original 150 Pokemon. The Chase is a Charizard. Great products. I don't see 151 doing well when it gets out of rotation. Like, no. And I tell people all the time, you don't have to look so far as just look at what Rusty does. And you want to be successful in this hobby, just copy what Rusty does. He was literally sending his daughter around Collecticon when I was there in Charlotte, and he, at the time, market value was, it was like a little, it was right around $750 for the Charizard in a 10. And he told
Yeah,
his
I
daughter,
remember.
I will buy every single Charizard that you can find for $750 from you. Meaning, if you could buy one for 680, you make $70. If you find one for $710, you make $40. If you find one for 745, you make $5. I will pay you 750. And I thought that was awesome. But like, he did that. That was August last year. That was not long ago. And that card's what, like 1900, $1,800 in a 10? And like, you just look at what these people are doing, and it's like everyone believed in it. But then at the same time, not everybody was walking around that Collecticon doing exactly what he was doing, too. So,
Well, I think like a big part of it, dude, is most people cannot afford to wait.
mm,
So this is where like cosplay investors come into play. You get people talking about investing as if they're going to be here in years from now. They're probably not. And it's not it's like storing your money in a collectible and then waiting for it to go up without any understanding of like when the timeline or horizon is, like that's really risky. And unless you can afford to do that, where like you're a 9 to 5 or a
that's
career person, you just piss away
it's
money, you
almost
don't care.
impossible to afford to do that, like, to
Right.
always buy and never sell. And like,
Yeah.
even if you could in theory buy at lows, like, that is not sustainable into forever unless, yeah, you have like a crazy salary. But if you're making $100,000 a year, you got a $2,500 mortgage, you got daycare expenses, like, what's your available leftover capital at the end of the month? It's not, I'm going to buy 10 cases of every booster box, or
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
going to spend 6 grand a month with dispendable capital, like disposable capital. I think that's the problem with that stuff, is if you're not constantly trying to do the turn and burn and making your, because at this market you can make 5 to 10% relatively quickly, and you could compound that and turn and burn that. But it's really hard to do that with just sitting it. And even if you, let's say you did a great purchase, you didn't even have distribution. Secondary market, you bought Destin Rivals booster boxes for, call it, 200 to 220 at release. Great pickup. If you're still sitting on those, while your money is made on paper, that doesn't help that capital problem you have where you need to keep buying. Like, you have it on paper, but it's not realistic. Like, you can't do anything with that.
Yeah.
I think
That
that's a struggle
Destin
for a lot
Rivals
of
is a
people.
funny example because at least in our content YouTube space, there weren't a lot of believers in investing in like Destin Rivals because we all assumed that the timeline would be like 2 to 3 years, right? And so the people who actually drink the Kool-Aid, and if you're like a new investor type, you were actually validated, even though what you did in many cases was like the wrong choice, but the right output, favorable output or outcome. Um, that's where like I still wrapping my head around like every new set that comes out, how much of it's going to be printed, and at what point are we going to be so far removed where they're not going to print these things anymore? Are they going to print more Destin Rivals? I have no idea. Booster boxes, that is. So these days, I would say last year I was a very jaded, you know, becoming an old guard person, like very grumpy and stubborn because I've been here for 5 years. This year, I'm kind of like, I'm just going to keep an open mind and
Mhm.
then take my profit where I can
Well,
and try not to hold on to things for too long and be happy when I make my margin.
well, I think the problem is like when you become jaded, it's like you remember when I would say Surge and Sparks was really the set that kind of like popped a lot. I mean, really where like product became unavailable and everybody screamed and cried like, I'll never get this set. It's all the scalpers, it's the investors. These are the guys that are ruining it, and I'm never going to get my opportunity to open up Surge and Sparks. And now Surge and Sparks is one of the cheaper loose packs that you could pick up on the market and just people don't want it. And those will be the same people who scream like I will never get a chance. And like I think my pushback for a lot of that and probably maybe some other people's it's just like you don't realize timelines in this hobby. Like you will get opportunities, but the problem is the moderner the better. Like people don't want stuff that is even and I make the joke that pretty soon Ascended Heroes is going to become vintage because Perfect Order comes out tomorrow. Like whatever the next set is, like everything else before it's vintage, right? But like now people are going to look at something like Surge and Sparks, which at the time people were losing their shit over, and now it's like it feels so old and like not a good set. And like what am I going to pull? Like and it's just weird, but people don't realize that will continue to happen for forever. Like
Yeah,
that will never change, you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
And it's funny, like I've seen people's opinions on prismatic change so recently. Like people who were like prismatic, greatest set ever, like you guys are dumb to not buy this. Now that I swear people are like, should I sell my prismatic and buy Ascended Heroes? It's like, well, Ascended Heroes is the newer set. So obviously that's and then Ascended Heroes will be beat by something. The 30th anniversary set. Should I sell my Ascended Heroes to buy the 30th? And then the 30th, it's just, I think it's funny how people constantly change and it's just, what's that saying? History doesn't always repeat
But
itself, but it sure
that's right.
does
That's right.
rhyme.
Yeah.
But in this hobby, I feel like it sure does repeat itself, and it's going to continue to do that.
Yeah, I think as I'm hearing you talk, I just think about why it's important to sell. Just always be selling and just like not get sucked into that cycle year over year. Because like, what are we really talking about? How many people are holding a ton of prismatic, you know, tens, hundreds of ETBs, and then selling that for ascended? Like, how many people actually did that? But it's like a
The
narrative,
answer's,
you know what I
yeah.
mean?
Well, the
Um,
answer is not zero.
the answer
And
is
I'm
not
sure that,
zero, but it's not tens of thousands.
no.
It's probably several hundreds to maybe low thousands, maybe,
But even if
if
they're
that.
not selling, I think their opinions on it change. Like, at
Yeah.
people who were all in, it's the greatest set ever. I will stand in front of my Walmart and Target and I will elbow an old man in the face to get this stuff. Now they're like, I don't know if I want to hold this anymore. And it's just like the narrative in their own brains could switch so quickly. And like, that's why I interact with that stuff, but like, I don't live or die by it. But
So do you
it's just
hold a
funny.
lot of that, and do you buy a lot of that stuff?
Yeah, so right now, just everything. I've been trying to gain allocations through distribution, and I'm just buying every single thing that they offer me. They're sending me sealed cases. I'm just stacking them away just because I'm trying to like grow spend. And every single thing I bought, like every case, I've just put aside. I've broken down booster box or not booster boxes, ETBs, just to like I'm running into a space issue. I don't know how your space issue is, but in the PK's grandma's basement right now, there's 22 shelves, and space is a premium. Like I don't have room.
I have a storage unit, and I've been selling a lot of sealed. I've been trying to get out of sealed, outside of Sword and Shield. A big part of it, you had asked earlier, like, what am I buying? I'm I'm trying to explore and stay liquid, but I'm not buying like most modern stuff. So, like, I'll go to different shops and stores. Maybe I'll buy some maybe gradable modern, but like, my buddy Luis, like this kind of stuff.
Hmm.
and
Delta
it's like
species reverses, yeah.
as
Oh,
opposed
and
to
the commons for, yeah, Delta
and like
species. Ditto, Charmander, Squirtle. Do you have the Mr. Mime?
I didn't pick that one up. Could one of these 10? That's why I paid up for them.
Oh, they're that clean, huh?
But that kind of stuff, it's like that's where I want to play right now because of where the market is. I'll still buy like, you know, this kind of stuff. We can talk
Hmm.
about evolving later if I can find it because the margin's there. Um, but I'm trying to take advantage of this zeitgeist that's like jumping across all eras. I bought 5 or 6 Pokemon Japanese Rumble cards, CGC Pristine 10s. I'm selling
I don't.
off most of them. Oh, you have the box? Nice.
That's well, that's English. That's a sealed English Rumble. That's not Japanese, so
I bought them in end of January and they all tripled in price within a month.
that's
So it's
crazy.
like, why am I holding on to this? I don't like it that much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'll dabble, and I think that it's important to just stay liquid. That's what I'm realizing is like I'm not religious about anything outside of finding a good opportunity. And it's for me, it's not modern. It's not modern seal. Like that's where most people are playing right now. But that makes sense. But I don't participate in drops, not in Pokemon Center, Walmart, all this stuff. Like I don't even bother. I'm just focusing on where am I deploying my money where I know most people don't have access to.
Yeah. I think as people want what's easiest too, and what's easiest is what everyone's talking about too, and it's the most readily available, and it has the easiest liquidity. That's the fact of the matter. It's just like you want to have liquidity, like modern seal pack, but like I shouldn't say I'm not doing it. Like one of the biggest plays that I've been doing, well, I haven't really done it lately, but last year the biggest play I did was I bought huge positions in 151 loose packs, uh, Crown Zenith loose packs, Paldea Valve loose packs, Fusion Strike loose packs, and that was just like where I parked a ton of my money. And a lot of that had, to do with me and Dan streaming together and stuff. And like that was what was it's like a long story that way, but man, all that has worked out. I
That's
mean,
like a
I picked up,
dual, like you get two benefits from that, right? If you buy it for the stream, and
yeah,
then you can also, potentially sell it on the
back.
side.
Yeah. And
Uh,
just like buy all I'm doing is just like buying our own inventory and just sitting on it and just speculating on like all my 151 I bought 750 packs at $9 a piece. So that was not long ago. So
yeah, I what you just said is why I want to do more in the hobby because you have optionality, right? And
yeah.
most people are not in that position where, most people are looking for drops or buying off a secondary. They don't have a business where they could say, hmm, I see a lot of demand is coming in. Let me just stop selling our 1,000 packs of 151 and hold that inventory and either keep it for myself or just wait until everyone else runs out. Like a lot of people don't have the ability to have multiple choices. They
Mm,
can just go by what's available to everyone. And I
yeah.
think like one of my bigger regrets is not figuring out how to run a stream team. Uh, West Coast Catch 'em all collectibles. I see what a lot of our colleagues are doing, and I can just imagine like how much inventory comes in where it's like, oh, I'm gonna keep that, or
Well,
hey, I'm gonna hold on to that for a little bit.
mm, so I don't buy a lot of singles. I bought a Jolteon Hollow from Skyridge that came through. At the time, I paid Dan full. Well, I didn't even pay him full market. I trade at the time we were still newer to streaming and inventory was an issue, so I traded him $800 worth of like singles and like some lower end slabs and stuff just to have inventory. So that was a hollow, and that was full market buy it now. That wasn't most recent comps. That was full market buy it now was $800 for the hollow Jolteon. That card's like 7 Gs right now. And then last month, a hollow Polytoad came through. So I purchased that from him again at 100% full market. And that Polytoad is already up like 1,500 bucks since in the last 30 days. So I've only bought like two hollows, and those two hollows are closer to 10,000 in profit than further away, which is crazy. And honestly, I wish I just every time cards like that came through, I wish I just picked them up, but capital is limited and we all say we know, but nobody really truly knows at the end of the day, too.
I have a question. When you decided to go full time,
Yeah.
and you stream like 10 times a week, 12 times a week?
No, I stream 17. Well, I used to. I don't stream. I'm not streaming. Well, I am on Thursday night doing this. So yeah.
Okay.
So three
Did
times a
you
day,
have to
Monday
do
through
that?
Friday, two times on Saturday.
Did
No,
you have to commit to 17 times, or was it like, hey, if I do 10 times, I'm gonna make my same salary, then seven more times is basically like
no. Dan,
net.
when we first started, Dan, it was he. I was in his kitchen. D- Don't let Dan. Dan, be careful the way he talks about his stream team. Like it, the reality of what this originally came from to where it is now is not like you're seeing the benefits of it, but it didn't start off like this. Like I was in Dan's kitchen. I drove up to his house, loaded up product for the first stream, and we did a mega stream from his house. And the when we were done, it was the next day. We were in his kitchen because I like slept over. I slept on the couch, and then we woke up and him and his wife were in the kitchen. He's like, "So what's your plan?" He's like, What do you plan the stream like once a week, like maybe twice a week?" I said, "Dan," I said, "Dude, I'm gonna stream. We're gonna stream 7 days a week." And he looked at me and like his wife like, and they kind of looked at each other. It was like, "Oh, okay." Like this dude is just full of crap. Like he's like, when are you gonna find time? And I'm like, Dan, we're gonna do this. It's gonna be 7 days a week between me and Ponga, and we're gonna fill out all the times. And then yeah, when I went full time, like the only way full times worked is if daytime streams were a possibility. And Dan didn't believe in daytime streams at the time. Like, you know, he was like, "Oh, we could do daytime, but we're gonna do like a lower dollar amount on it because like the returns aren't gonna be good." And I was like, "Dan, give me 2 weeks." I said, "Don't change a thing." I said, "Give me 2 weeks. I will prove it to you." It's like I quit my job without having daytime streams be viable. Like on paper, I just knew because I was doing the streams every day. I was like, the buyers will be there. Like I know for a fact. And now, like daytime streams are such a pivotal aspect of our business that we're running. Like to lose that right now would be like Dan would be in panic mode. Like that would be a huge like revenue stream to like evaporate, but that wasn't even proved at the beginning. But yeah. But like did I have to stream? No. I don't have to. It's just like I have the time. Why don't I take
I mean,
advantage
it's
of
just
it?
a lot, dude. Like
No, it's not.
17 times.
You work during the
Um,
day. I mean, I only stream like a couple hours during the day and then my kids are 2 and 4. They're in bed at 8. I start streaming at 8:30. Like it doesn't
you figured it
I
out.
yeah, I drop my kids off at school. I don't start my morning live till 9:45. I used to start my old job at 7 a.m. So I wake up late now. I drop them off at preschool and daycare. I get back home, I have like 30 minutes before I have to hit go live. And then 9:45 till 12, and then from 12 to 1:32, and then I go pick up my kids from preschool by 3. Like I got the easiest schedule,
Yeah,
man.
that's you have it down pat, dude.
It's like such easy. And then I stream at night where what else would I be doing? Like people say they have no time, but they're like when Dan talks about like they're watching Netflix right now, or they're gaming their face off on their PC and they're like, I don't know how PK finds the time and they're just gaming like they become faceless people because they're gaming their faces off like or they're doing their oh I want to rewatch Game of Thrones. It's not 7 seasons. Yeah, I'm doing it. Like what? Like that will be like what people will say and it's just like I don't get that. I guess
I
it's just what
I I couldn't figure out last fall if I did go full time what I would do that would actually fill up that many hours a week because I didn't want to stream and I also
Okay.
could not rely on vending consistently because weekends, family, that kind of thing. But you give me hope.
Dude, it's
Maybe I
so
should
easy.
stream.
Like my so people think I stream a lot, but like so for perspective, my old job I used to have to be at work at 7 a.m. and my day would go until 4 to 5. Like that was like normal day. And then it was 30 minutes drive home. Sometimes it was an hour depending on the location. So I'd be home at like 5, between 5 and 6. I would take a shower. It was like 5:30, 6 o'clock, 6:30 when I'm out of the shower. And then I would have like from 6:30 till 8 with my kids, an hour and a half. Now, every single moment that my kids are home from either preschool or daycare, I'm with them 100% of the time because I don't stream till 8:30 and they're in bed at 8 o'clock. So I went from an hour and a half to now. My family time went from a very small sliver of time to now I'm 100% with them from the second, and I drop them off, pick them up. I do that whole thing. Like my family time has increased drastically because my commute time has gone from a lot to nothing. And you have, imagine all your commute time in the car if you had all that back and you could spend that with your family. Like
Yeah,
you just walk to the grandma's basement and hit go live.
that's
And
cool,
then
man.
all the kid like the kids they go to the post office with me, all the people in the post office, they know them on a first name basis. Like they say hi to the kids, they come to my private mailbox. Like yeah, it's been best choice I ever did was go full time. And the problem is I can never go back now. So if this market fails, oh boy, we're in trouble.
I wanted to go back and talk about the stuff that I'm eyeing to buy or buying,
Oh
like
yeah,
you
yeah, yeah.
were
Sorry.
asking before the stream. Um, did you watch the? I made a video like 3+ months ago about mystery mystery bags, digital rips, that kind of thing.
Sure. I mean, I do a lot of the Insta rips, yeah. I think you
Um,
actually you gave me a shout out in that video. I think you mentioned that you actually bought one on Fanatics, right?
yeah, yeah, I did. I was at card party with Grimer, and I bought it from you, and it was
Okay.
dark, man. We
That was dark. Oh, did I at least try to make it better than it
it,
was?
I spent like I think I spent like $200 and I got five pulls, and it was like a $75 rip or something like that.
Okay.
So it wasn't terrible, but I just sold everything back. Um, I I'm very optimistic. I don't want to say bullish because that's nerdy finance talk. I'm very optimistic on Sword and Shield, especially evolving. And yeah, pop matters, pep doesn't matter, whatever. A big part of why I believe that is the pendulum right now is swinging to vintage, and then it's going to be mid era, or it is mid era already, and it's going to be early modern, or however you want to classify, X and Y, Sun and Moon, whatever. Maybe it gets there, maybe it doesn't. Um, but I just had this hard time understanding like $4,000 is $4,000 no matter how you chop it up. So why wouldn't you just buy a Moonbreon? Like, there's going to be a point where like the low pop stuff, it's getting pushed up so quickly that like I don't think there's actually that many buyers to elevate some of those cards to like the next level, which is like high four figures and five figures, right? And I think like the 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 new buyers that are coming in, I don't think they're going to be spending money on like a lot of this old stuff like over time. I think it's going to be modern. I think it's going to be Sword and Shield onwards, and I just can't help but believe that like I think I don't like saying this, but I'm gonna say it. I think like Sword and Shield stuff is actually undervalued.
Can I show you a card? I'm gonna go grab a card. I want to show you, and I give you a little pushback, but I just want to show you a
No, give me the
card that I
pushback.
feel like a lot of people weren't around for this card, especially people that came back in. But how crazy this card has been. I think when a card just has good fundamentals, I think it bucks against that.
I just realized he has a team up box behind him. Very nice.
So, all right, look at that card right there. So we're gonna be auctioning this off on Saturday night, starting at $1 on Fanatics, right? Shining Legends Mewtwo. This is pre-Sword and Shield. This is Sun and Moon. This came from a set that people used to pass all the time, sit on the shelves. Shining Legends ETBs. This card, for all intents and purposes, is gas. And why? Because it just people always talk about fundamentals. Like, what's the fundamentals of a card like this? Fan favorite Pokemon. It's number 150. Higher grade means better. PSA 10. This is it. This is the best it gets at PSA. And high pop, not unattainable, but crazy demand. And this card gets locked up, and every sale seems to be a little bit higher than the last one. And
It's capped
that's
out though,
pre.
5K, right? It's been at 5K
Oh
for a
no,
bit
this
now.
card's it's over 7 grand now.
Okay, never mind. This is
Yeah, it's
wrong.
gapped.
The thing I'm
It's
looking at
gapped.
is completely wrong.
Yeah, no, most recent sales are a little over 7 grand for this.
Yeah, you're
You
right.
probably just go to eBay last sales, but yeah, it's gapped up huge
So
in
I
the
mean, as
last.
like an era, I think like individual cards prior to Sword and Shield are going to be picked off and going to do really well.
I
And
mean,
that's where
look at
pop
you. You mentioned team up. Look at your last four sets of Sun and Moon. Team up,
team up
Unbroken
Cosmic.
Bonds, Unified Minds, Cosmic Eclipse. Those are your last four in order. And that goes to November 2019 is when Cosmic Eclipse came out. So those four sets, absolutely crazy. But then even go call it the mid-air sets that people don't really like Lost Thunder is a great example. Rainbow Rare Mimikyu has been on a run. Rainbow Rare Lugia, been on a run.
But
Like,
do you think all those cards stack up long term to the Rayquaza and the Umbreon VMAX? Long term.
I mean, maybe not the Mimikyu and Lugia, but if you're going to talk about the best cards from the best set of Sword and Shield, you got to talk about the best cards from the best set of Sun and Moon, and then you would probably bring the team up. So that brings you, you're talking about Latios,
Right.
and then the Gengar Mimikyu Altart.
But
And then,
but this is why I'm saying it's undervalued. Because right now it's swung and
yeah,
those that whole era or that generation has obviously like
gapped
done
up.
well.
Yeah,
But
I'd
this
call it
this is kind
gapping
of my
up. It's
point.
just,
Is like,
yeah,
wait, Evolving Skies, the booster box has not actually moved in 6.5 months,
yeah.
right? And Umbreon, and I blame James for ingraining this in my brain. There's two currencies in the hobby. There's a base set Zard, and there's the Umbreon VMAX, and um, it feels like there just hasn't been that much activity. I mean, there's been a lot of sales, that kind of thing, but like the price has just been stagnant, and that's why I'm saying it's undervalued. It's like, is it going to stay this way? I highly doubt it.
I think you're running into two things when you have a little bit of price sensitivity, and I know we like to meme on it that pop doesn't matter, but at a certain point, pop matters a little bit when you're talking a card like that because a lot of that card is you have definitely the people who are just a fan of the card and they want it. I know for 100%, like not zero, not 50, not Dan on the fence. I know for 100% there's people out there who heavily speculated on that card. So people who purchase that card as an investment. And every time we start to see little gap ups, we are constantly seeing buying pressure of that card. Like there will never be a day, in my opinion, where that card is not really available on the market. Where some of this other stuff, it's it's much rare for that stuff to be selling every day. And I think that is the the biggest problem that Evolving Skies, especially the Moonbryon, is going through is just that there's constantly supply on the market. And, in order for cards to go up, you need not just sales all the time. You need people to like constantly be acquire these and putting them into their collection so it allows that population not to constantly hit the market and constantly have sales and constantly have price points. The problem is that will happen. Just the higher the pop, the longer that will take. Now, you think about Evolving Skies. Evolving Skies is so I talked about Cosmic Eclipse in November 2019. Evolving Skies is August 27th, 2021. That's not even
Not even
five
five
years yet.
years.
And we're talking about this, and you look at what it is already doing with this supply and with people wanting to open Evolving Skies. Like, we open Evolving Skies on the stream. Like, people are still hunting it, meaning there's still more hitting the pop. Like, and it, but I do believe it will gap up, like you're saying too, though. Like, that this stuff is undervalued. And I think
So
Evolving
you agree with
Skies,
me?
I do 100%. And I talk about like, I think in fact not it's not just the Umbreon. I feel like all the alt arts because yeah, Rayquaza is number two, but I look at the evolutions. 'Cause I think of Evolving Sky. It is a dragon set. You got the Sleepy Dragonite V. You got the Rayquaza, but really I think about it as an evolution set. And the second best evolution is the Sylveon. And you look at what it is. It's $800. That is what is $800 when you have a $3,600 booster box. It's less than a quarter of the value of a booster box. If we were to open a booster box of Evolving Skies and we had a box hit and we hit the Sylveon, I'm screaming opening this pack. Like, I'm very excited. And your best case scenario is you have to gem this. You got to get a 10 and then you lose three-quarters of your value. But like, this is the everyone will be like, but PK prices
Yeah.
don't matter for the sealed versus the singles, and then somebody will be like, look at emergent powers, and it's like that's not the same. Does that make sense too?
It
But
didn't
I do
matter until it
believe
mattered.
it doesn't matter
And
until it matters, but
yeah,
eventually it will matter. And I think we're just people are going to start realizing. But again, we're just running into the issue where you remember a time when Evolving Skies was readily available. There's people in the chat right now who remember a time that Evolving Skies was readily available. The new person in the chat, Evolving Skies might as well be the same as Team Up, Dark Explorers, Secret Wonders, Power Keepers, E Delta Species, Show Delta Species, EX Delta Species. Want to know why? Because all those booster boxes were expensive when they got into the hobby, so they don't remember a moment that those were ever cheaper. Does that make sense?
yeah,
Their
yeah.
price memory does not exist. There was never a time when Evolving Skies was cheap. It's the same way as a lot of people got in the hobby right now, and they got in 2020. So Sword and Shield was big, and all these Sun and Moon boxes had already ran up, and these things were unattainable to them. Like, they never even considered team up because it was so expensive in relative to the time where they didn't care that they got in November or October of 2020 when Logan Paul did his box break because team up came out a year and a half earlier and it was already a $600 box at that time. Like, it didn't matter to them. It just felt the same as anything else that was old. Like, that's I don't know.
This is one of those. You had the talk with Charlie the other week or last week. Price memory is just one of those things. It's like everyone has childhood trauma, and everyone also has like price memory trauma. Or there's some cards I'll look at and like, there's no way I would ever buy that. It's just
Yeah.
like too painful, or could have bought that for like $5. And there's something that Charlie brought up that I totally agree with. It's like a lot of the older guys or people who've been around for a while who are like more risk averse. So I would say I'm definitely was in that camp. We're missing out because there's a whole generation of people coming in who like, what's risk? Like, I don't know what that is. Like,
Yeah.
I literally have nothing to lose outside of like what the money I'm deploying. So it's like, why wouldn't I just take a shot, right?
Yeah.
And as this boom has gotten bigger, it's anyone who's taken that leap is being rewarded. And like, I don't, the next retrace or next crash will be higher than, sorry, its low will be higher than the previous high.
Oh, and that's always the way it is. But
Yeah,
I don't. I push back too. Is like, yeah, I'm not taking risks, but like, no matter when you got in the hobby, there was always something that was expensive. Like,
yeah, yeah.
there was always the high end of the market. Like, first edition Zards in a 10 were always the most expensive card. It's just like what was expensive. It was like, well, if it was $1,200, might not seem like a lot today, but in relative to the market where everything else was available at your fingertips for, you could buy anything you wanted for fractions of that. It's the same as when it was 1,200 or you look at something like a Skyridge Zard. Like, I remember the first ever sale that was $5,000 like and being like, wow. and being like, this is unattainable. And it's like, then it was, and then I passed on it for 11 uh, at Denver Collecticon. And now it's like, whatever, 60 grand or 50 grand. I don't even know. I stopped looking at it. But like, things are always expensive, but at the same time, where like the old heads or whatever we're gonna be start to be called, which is crazy because this isn't like that established of a hobby yet. You already got the old people in there, but like it always just becomes, where do I feel I could be best at deploying my money at a single moment in time, you know? So, but like at all points in the hobby, like certain things were always expensive. Like if you wanted a base set booster box, like Rusty had his box that he pulled two Zards from. Collector's Cash had it on eBay for $10,000. You know how many people looked at that first ed box for 10,000? Like every person I know looked at that box, and they, you know why they didn't buy it? Because it was really expensive at the time. Like, and it took a Rusty to go and take a chance on that box. But there's a reason why it didn't just get listed and snap purchase, because everyone looked at, well, what's your opportunity cost in that market at that time? $10,000 gets you an entire gold star set, you know? Like it's just
If you
it's
were
hard to,
new, what would you buy
yeah,
today?
whatever
What
the
would you
newest
tell
thing
someone
is.
the newest thing?
Yeah, whatever the newest thing
So
is.
like perfect order. Just go like head first into perfect order.
I mean, perfect order is tough because it's whatever 250. I think perfect order is probably going to actually do really poorly. Um I guess when I was thinking newest stuff, I was just thinking stuff that was like new but out of print. So like any Sword and Shield set right now, and maybe early Scarlet and Violet block. I could definitely see like some of these early sets running. Probably like Paldea Evolved would be a pretty good buy. But yeah, just that's when I think. I mean, I think new is 2 years, but yeah, like current most modern stuff. But I would be picking up one box. I wouldn't be skipping any sets. I'd be picking up a little bit. I'd just pay full retail. And then I would honestly be trying to find stuff that I could like turn and burn, like
Yeah.
do the grade and plays. Like I never, when I got into the hobby, I didn't buy modern sealed. Like that's relatively new. I wish I was buying modern sealed and storing that, but I was buying beat up Wizard of the Coast hollows, like binder collections and light play, moderate play, and hoping I get one gradable card out of it. Like that's what I was doing. I wasn't thinking about buying the newest set because it was expensive. $100 a box when I got into the hobby was a lot when I could buy a whole binder collection for 15, you know? Like,
Yeah, looking back, when I started to sell seriously two or 3 years ago, I wish I had more things. I wish I'd purchased more things that were not just sealed. I bought a lot of sealed. Call it investing, accidental investing, whatever. Like a lot of what I bought was modern sealed because like I was a working person. I wanted to rip a bunch of stuff. I had the space, and it's like you could buy cases for like 540, six
sealed
hundred
as a new
bucks.
collector is a headache. Like,
Yeah,
selling sealed, because now at this point you're selling one offs, and you're really needing to maximize your money. So you have to. How do you sell sealed? It has a little teeny tear in it, has a loose wrap. You get somebody says it's resealed. You get somebody says, "Hey, this corner has a ding. I didn't see it in the photos." Stuff like that. Like sealed is a headache, and then it's bulky. It ships different. Like the ease of transaction as a new collector, I would lead them away from sealed because of that. I mean, shout out to Josh Green Shiz. Like you could do sealed Shiz consignment and he could deal with all that headache, but like you're gonna leave a percentage on the table going that route too, or you could, you know, probe Steens or DC Sports or the other people that handle sealed. But like the easiest thing to transact in isn't singles. It's not sealed. It's this. And especially with like eBay authentication, you deal with anything over 250 like as a seller of that card, and then with consignment services with a James or Dan's with Fanatics Collect or whatever. Like the ease of selling right now for that stuff, this is the easiest widget to move. Like is a higher dollar. One, you're going to get as close to market, maybe your new high, and you don't have to worry about returns. You don't have to worry, and eBay authentication allows that to be possible.
Yeah, I didn't purchase like collections. That's probably my one of my bigger regrets is just not spending the time to figure out how to do that and you know
Time.
time and understand how to price it and like go to shows and just buying as much as I can. Like a lot of where I played was modern and then like Japanese vintage. And that it's funny about so I used to collect I primarily collected Sun and Moon, X and Y, Black and White, Japanese PSA 10s, unlimited for Black and White and
Black and white. Shout
X
out
and
to
Y.
Colson. I don't know if you know Colson, but
Yeah, I met Colson
yeah.
at Collecticon.
Yeah,
He
Colson
had
did some real
he had
dusty black and white plays that made him a lot of money.
so I just meet him. I walk into the venue. It's like early, and he pulls out his he had a box that he just got back from BGS, and he graded like 80 versus cards or VS cards.
Nice.
They were like 9.5s. Anyway, yeah, that was my first impression of him. I bought a lot of that stuff and collected it, and it didn't move. It was illiquid.
Mm.
It was like concrete and available on eBay. You know, they
Yeah.
were like $200, $300 for a PSA 10. You know, Alakazam from Psychic King, which is Breakthrough, right? And the point in which I actually gave up and wanted to just liquidate, literally within 3 months later, everything started to just go off. And that's just like sometimes is how that's how it goes. But it really taught me like if you're gonna collect something and you really want to collect it, you should just hold on to it for as long as you can instead
Yeah.
of like pseudo collecting where you buy a thing because it's nice and you'll get rid of it just because you want something else. Like a lot of the things I collect today that I end up selling, it's because it's appreciated, not because
Yeah.
I actually don't want it anymore.
When you bring up that thing about being a new collector, it's what do you usually have as a new collector? Sometimes you have capital, but most of the time, new collectors have time. So it's deal in the currency that you have the most of. And if your currency is time, it's just like go spend the most time getting the best deals? And if you do that, you make the most of your currency, which is time, you could do really well. But then you talked about the collecting aspect, and I've mentioned this many times, like, and I call it collection identity. It's everybody gets into the hobby right away and they buy everything and they just all this shiny stuff, and you got 30 years of Pokemon coming at you and you're going down all these rabbit holes, you're learning all this stuff, and then you end up with a bunch of stuff. But at the end of the day, it's like might be a bunch of stuff that you don't actually care about. So then I say refine your collection down. Like I know it's a meme, it's the in the hobby gotta catch them all, but in reality, like, you don't actually have to catch them all. Like, so whittle down your collection and find out, like, what's your true collection identity? What do you actually care about? And just move through the shit that you don't want. And I make I say this all the time. I call it the 10 to 1 rule. For every 10 good buyers in this hobby, there's one good seller. And I honestly believe that. I call it the 10 to 1 rule. 10 good sellers, one good, or sorry, 10 good buyers, one good seller. And like, move through your collection, like, gain a collection identity, but now gain a new experience because you have that valuable resource, which is time. Spend the time, create an eBay account, find ways to sell, find ways to move stuff. Send James a email, like, start to move this stuff, and then you know what? You've now have all this stuff. Hopefully it's appreciated on you. Obviously some of it might have said stagnant, and then stuff that is stagnant that you don't care about, free up that liquidity and then start acquiring stuff that you do like. And as you continue to do that, that collection identity never really ends, and you constantly just turn and burn. Like, maybe start off PS8 collector, now you're PSA 9, now you're PSA 10, and as that is moving along, you're constantly buying and selling. I don't know what your
What
thought.
would you tell someone who is like a new collector today? Like what to
Kind of
collect?
like,
It's like, hey,
I
what should I
can't tell.
collect?
Oh, what do you like? I like to do a lot of things. I don't like to tell anybody like what they should collect. I like to tell them what I like to collect, and then, but yeah, I can't tell anybody. Like, what do you like? I mean, we got a whole new generation of people come in who weren't around for 99. Like, they don't have nostalgia for what I like to collect, which is base set jungle fossil, you know, any of that stuff. Like if they came in, it's like, well, what did you collect as a kid? I collected diamond and pearl. Go find diamond and pearl. What'd you collect as a kid? Black and white. Go find black and white. I remember I used to buy Power Keepers pack. Like go find the stuff that you know as a kid, and then like start from there. You know, start at the modern stuff. Like get into Rattle Discord. Go on the bots, pick up some drops, find out what you like. That's what I would tell a new collector, but I can't tell them what to like because you have to help like lead them to their own decision if that makes sense.
I feel like you have to
What would you
spend.
tell what would you
What would
tell
I
a new
tell them?
collector?
Um, it's like trial by fire, man. You got to spend a ton of money and
Yeah.
just rip, go to shows. Actually, sorry, to be serious, what I would actually tell someone is like go to a show and go find people with binders and just flip through binders.
Yeah.
Because that's the best raw, unfiltered way of just seeing like all the cards. I
Mm-hmm.
think the challenge with modern is like if you buy modern, you don't hit the good hits, you're probably not gonna like most of the other cards.
Mm.
So you're gonna have to keep spending to figure out how to get those cards that you might like. And it's kind of like it essentially is a little bit like gambling, right? Whereas if you go to a show and you go to flip around some binders, like there's no cost to that.
I tell people buy the card, not the grade. Nobody means that when they say it, you know. Like we all say buy the card, not the grade. Nobody actually means it. Like, if that was true, then there would be no PSA 10 sales. So on Fanatics Collect this weekend on Sunday, there was two first edition Raichus that I bid on. My cap was $26,000. Lost both cards. Both went for more than 26,000. That was my cap Sunday night. Um, both of
Wait, you
those
bid
cards.
you bid 26K on both of them?
Yeah, and I didn't win them. That was my cap. That was including buyer's premium. But that was my cap. And you know what? Both those cards, if you look at the condition of those cards, I have a PSA 9 that is far superior than that card in all sense of the imagination. And my 9 is, if I showed you my scans of my 9 versus those, you'd be like, your 9 is, it looks like a black label compared to these things, but it doesn't matter. Because at the end of the day, my 9 will never sell for more than that first edition 10. You want to know why? Because higher grade means better. So even if I believe it, or there are people out there who only buy true 10s for stuff, at the end of the day, that is a very, very small subset of people, and you got to get deep down the rabbit hole to find those people, opposed to the mass market. The mass market does not buy the car, they buy the grade. But I would tell new collectors to try to do that. And I tell new collectors to craft cards. Do this. Get get yourself a little bag. I mean,
Good
this doesn't
receipts.
exist because I want it to exist. This exists because it has to exist. And grade cards. Send your first submission out and get wrecked on a 20 card submission. And if you can't afford to get wrecked on a 20 card submission, then maybe you shouldn't be really like going too crazy on this hobby, Like
Yeah, yeah.
you know like if what is what is a 200 card submission, like a couple $100, like if, and nothing in this hobby goes to zero. So even if you're getting wrecked, what are you truly getting wrecked? Do you get wrecked like $200-300? Like, do you know how valuable that $200-300 lesson could be for you? It could be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars in the future, as long as you're learning from your mistakes. Like you learn what a 8 looks like, you learn what a 9 looks like, you learn what a 10 looks like, and like do it. Because think about your first submission to PSA, you're going to spend 50 times longer looking at that card than any grader will. And then when you get that card back, you'll spend 300 times longer looking at each one of those cards when everything's all said and done. Pre-grading, sending it, penny sleeving it, card saving it, and then looking at it when it gets back. The amount of information you will learn from one 20 card submission in this hobby could be worth thousands to hundreds of thousands of dollars given long enough timelines. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, makes sense.
So I would recommend
What
that to a new collector too.
I have two different questions and topics. I want to go back to the buy the card, not the grade.
Yeah,
Would you buy a PSA 10, a fixed, and it's been fixed, okay?
like
And it's a PSA
fixed.
10, knowing that it was actually a fixed card, would you buy that card?
When you say fixed, you mean like altered?
I mean, take your pick. Water's a chemical. It's been smooth, polished, uh,
Like I
you know,
like if I consciously
humidified.
knew, no. Like
Yeah.
I would not want to consciously know.
What?
But
Why?
because I don't know what a lot of these card care products, like the long-term effects are on these cards.
Yeah.
Like I
That's
don't know. I mean, we don't have a sample size like all this Kurt card care shit. Like I don't know what is this card? What does it do to a card in 10, 20 years? Like I've already started to see where like some of these like card care products, you see it mainly on blowout forums for sports, but you're starting to see where they had like staining where the staining went away and then the staining has came back inside of some of these slabs. And people have been able to like photo match these to old ones, like looking at the new scans opposed to the PSA scans. It's like crazy. So yeah, I just don't know enough about that.
okay. Just curious. I had a debate
Yeah.
with Jodo Jake on this. I I said like I don't really care because I'm gonna be selling it, so it's not like I'm holding on to the thing for 5 years. And the amount of card fixing and cleaning that happens in our hobby is way more than people think
Oh yeah.
for a lot of the older cards. And
I mean, you're breaking PSA terms of service every time you're doing that too. So you are
yeah,
running a risk there of like banning your account. So, and like, you run the risk of somebody finding out that you did, because in that sense, it's altered by PSA. And then the person that buys your card, like, they could, in theory, get their cert deactivated,
yeah,
because of like what you did if like it becomes public knowledge too. So you do run a lot of risk there, just like ruin your reputation, or you're gonna have to go out and, let's say you do sell a high dollar card and that card goes up. But so you did that to a reverse hollow e-reader and you sold it for 500 and now it's 5 grand. You who's on the hook for that? It's like, is that PSA? Is that, I don't know. It's too scary in that thought too.
yeah. There's just like a lot of risk. Um, we were just talking about something else I wanted to get into.
Mm,
I lost my train of thought.
yeah. Um, Yeah, people are saying I started buying vintage old certs, CGC 8.5s that look like 9 plus because CGC was given everything 8.5 then. Yeah, that was I say it the 3.8s. People always wonder which ones. So 3.8 certs, those are the ones you're looking for. So any cert that starts with 3.8 or 3.9 because CGC was just afraid to give out high grades back then. Yeah.
What's the I want to jump into mystery packs and digital rips, if you don't mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you think the long-term effect is on slabs and prices of slabs, given how much activity there is around
I
Galaxy
mean,
Grails, Fanatics, Rips,
yeah,
Courtyard,
for
etc.
people who are speculating like investors in these or people turning and burning these, it's the best thing that could ever happen to those people. A lot of people think like a lot of these cards recirculate back onto the market. They are locked up forever. Like people don't realize that your PSAs, your GameStops and your Fanatics, like they spent a lot of money and a lot of time to acquire these cards. They do not want to sell these cards back onto the market because at every dollar amount, like even if the hobby dries up, like you have so many different price points of products that you're going to have to offer. Courtyard IO offers, I believe, a $10 Insta Rip like pack. You know how dark that must be? But that is trash of trash, but it doesn't matter. Like they need stock of that to always fulfill those packs from now until forever. Like They cannot go back to a day where they do not have cards available. So these cards get locked up in these vaults, and those cards pretty much evaporate from the market. You look at something like a Burger Chew. The percentage of Burger Chews that got pushed through PSA's buyback is a make believe number. Like
5%,
single
10%.
handedly, it's more than that. Single handedly kept the value of a Burger Chew. It's still like $54 PSA buyback right now because it's still going off of market comps. That's why you got to have it's like 250,000 of those cards have been graded altogether, and like 180,000 of them are 10, or maybe it's, I don't even know, something like that. We looked up the pops not too long ago, but it's crazy. It's like 200 plus thousand.
What do you think the impact is
It's
on the more expensive cards? Three and four figure plus.
honestly, if I was an Insta like rip, so they are very price sensitive. They do understand their total portfolio or balance or whatever you want to call it. They understand the full market value of all that stuff. And in when we had that 20 to 30% retrace that happened a couple months back where everybody like kind of memed on it, these dudes were hurting. You know why they were hurting? Because their millions of dollars dropped 30% and they started sweating. Do you know what didn't drop? The vintage. That's where they want to park their money right now is because they're exposing themselves to a lot of risk with these cards, you know? Because when you buy a 150 Insta Rip or 200 or a 150 or $1,000 power pack, if they bought a Poncho Pikachu for 20,000 and it's now worth 15,000 and you win that off current market value, which is 15,000. So they lose a lot of money doing that. They don't want this. They don't want to buy high volatility stuff. They're going to want to buy stuff which they think has more like stability, and that's a lot of this higher end vintage because that's where the money has always been in the market, and that's where always the least volatility has been for to a point. There's always PSA 9 first edition Zards for $27,000 that dropped a lot, but I don't know. That's a lot of that.
Man P says something I just want to clarify. I think he's saying, I don't care about selling altered cards. I think there's a difference between an altered card and a cleaned card.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Like, water is a chemical, sure. Flattened, you know, polished. Like, where do you draw the line? I think there's like a whole spectrum of like, how do you prepare a card or restore a card in general? And I think on the one far end is like actually altering it to make it look like it to make it look like it's like a brand new card. And then on the other end, it's like removing stuff from that card, the surfaces, and that kind of thing.
Yeah. But no, what do you have what are your thoughts about the buyback though? Like,
Just like this whole where PSA sits in all this.
or no, because Galaxy Card Shop says also depends on their buyback percentage too, which I mean, I guess matters, but I feel like it's kind of like becoming an industry standard almost. It's like 90% buyback for most of these people.
I mean, it's the finance guys who figured out this model and this business strategy that all these companies are using. It's genius. Like what you said, these slabs never actually have to leave. They literally don't. The only work that's done is like a few lines of code. Like you own this and now you've sold it, and they
Yeah.
don't have to move that slab. You know, they just have to transfer ownership. It's in a database. Um, it's brilliant, right? I think like the thing that I'm so weary on is like there's so much buying, and I noticed this probably end of summer last year. Everyone's buying at this weird percentage, like 80% of card ladder, 90% of card ladder. I'm like, what is going on? And even people in I live in the Bay Area, even people I wouldn't even have guessed are like putting up posts like, oh yeah, buying, 80% card ladder, 90% card ladder. And um all these slabs, at first it was the cheaper stuff, and now it's moved up to like 1,000 to 2,500 or whatever the range is. everyone's buying them, and the end consumer is probably one of these products. What happens long term to those cards and their prices if that's what they're primarily used for?
Yeah, honestly, it becomes a closed ecosystem too. And the problem is your highest ends are the ones that are withdrawn. People sell back the lower end stuff. But with the way a lot of these buybacks are, is like they're comping off these lower sales. Like that's why you see certain like promos and stuff. They just have really high values that don't really make sense because they're just kind of existing solely in this ecosystem. So I think to find the one-off examples is actually a lot harder than people think. And I think that a lot of that stuff is just getting like super optimized by people trying to do that play, but it's not sustainable. I think where the ecosystem I mean, this is the thing too, is who's buying these cards and who's selling. I think the worst thing that's happening right now with some of these is they are computer algorithmic based, where it's just they're buying off of a percentage of, say, card ladder or something. And then there's some cards that if you're buying everything off of an algorithm, you're just going to have Glaceon Hollow from Prismatic Evolutions. Prismatic Master Ball? No. Prismatic Pokeball? No. Just regular Hollow. Well, why is it expensive? Because like the sourcing of that card, because it was pulled off of algorithm and it was bought back. And I think that is the biggest danger to those systems, is that there's just so much junk that eventually gets put into the system too. That like these and like I mean, your ideal situation is you have one guy buying all the cards, so you don't have any junk. They're passing on these, but like with the PSA buyback, which is going to these power packs, like you want to know what I'm most excited to sell? My junk. Like that's what I love taking the PSA buyback on my PSA 8 misgrading play. Like nothing makes me happier my PSA 9 misgrading play, and I could just get that money back instantly and just sell that junk. And like that's the biggest danger that these power packs and stuff face, is that eventually they just get so full of junk. And yeah,
Do you think it's going to have a negative impact on the current prices of those more expensive cards?
I think it's just going to cause those prices to keep going up too, because now, you know, even stuff that are quote unquote low pop, like there is a buying and selling. Like the problem is when this low pop stuff gets acquired by these vaults. You remember how we talked about how they're there forever and they never leave? Like if this stuff truly gets locked up and it never leaves, like that's scary because now there's less and less available copies on the market. Like think about if you had I mean, just like there's so much low pop stuff that just like the market could eat up. But then, when people pull that card, they could pull it out of the vault and maybe it's able to like recycle into the ecosystem that way. But the problem is a lot of these people that are buying these, they're probably like a lot of them are the truest form of collectors, and they're only pulling out cards that they really want, or they're pulling out cards that they think are super undervalued for what the market is, so they think they could just be better off selling it through Fanatics Collect or eBay or Heritage or Golden or wherever they're planning to sell those cards, because maybe it is a low pop card. And that's a problem too with a lot of these power packs too. It's a good thing and a bad thing. It's like some of this low pop stuff, it's pulling really old comps. So
What just changing topics. What keeps you
no.
up at night about the hobby?
Um, I guess I don't think anything really keeps me up right now. I'm sleeping like a baby, but like my biggest fear is not that prices go down, that the liquidity dries up. Like the insta liquidity, like at this point, it just doesn't matter what you have. There's outlets for everything. And my biggest fear is the thing that would keep me up is like that the liquidity goes away. And if your business model is based off of you're making 5 to 10% as often as you can, and then now you're having to sit on all this stuff. And you're a low, high volume, low margin plays, like what do? You're stagnant. You have so much capital locked up at all times. That's my biggest fear is that the liquidity dries up. What about you?
Yeah,
What's
liquidity for sure. Um, I mean, I already have this fear that's being manifested. It's like you if you want to collect things that are not modern,
hmm,
it's you know the ship is sailing, so you better pony up. And are you know mid-air reverse hollows, stamp hollows, do they deserve to be 3 to 5K? I don't know, probably not. But will they go back to like 1K? Probably not. So just stuff like that that was around and nobody wanted. The demand was so low. I don't think it's ever going to go back to they're at prices where you can just decide, oh yeah, I'm gonna spend a little bit outside of my range because it's like a reverse hollow from midair or whatever, but I want to
hmm,
buy it because I like it. Like there's none of that. I don't think that's gonna happen anymore. Like a lot of these cards are gonna be so expensive to the point where it's like why would I buy that? 5 grand is 5 grand. Like why don't I just go
yeah,
buy like a modern alt art PSA 10 that's hyper liquid?
yeah. And yeah, I think another thing that keeps me up at night a little bit is just we see the fickleness of this hobby. I think keeps me up a little bit too. Is like you see little retraces. I think it's a great example of like, remember when Pokemon went down? We talked about it a little bit before, but and then everyone was about One Piece, and that One Piece is had a little teeny dip, a little teeny retrace, and now everybody's like, I feel like there you see that fickleness. It's like people, I'm selling all my Pokemon to get in the One Piece. Oh my God, I sold all my Pokemon. My Pokemon, if I kept it, it would have made money. Now I bought One Piece, it's going down. I feel like there's that fickleness where people are just they're not conditioned for the ups and downs and the turbidity of a hobby like this. And I do believe that one day that turbidity will happen, but it's just I don't know when do the turbid waters happen. So I don't know. I guess there's a lot of things that kind of keep me up. Um, like I used to be all about stashing cash, and like I don't want to do that. I had a frank conversation with Dan and Ponga when we were in New York. I said, I looked at I just like word for word what I said. I forget if I said the Dan or Pong. I said I looked at my business bank account the other day and I was sickened to my stomach with how much money was in there. I was like, why is there any money in my bank account right now? Like, why is this thing not at zero? Like, what did I do wrong? Like, why did I do that? And like, that's kind of stuff that will like scare you at the end of the day. It's like because you just become so confident in something, and it's like yeah, when I said that to Dan, which was not that long ago, we were at Fanatics Fest. If I took all my money out of my bank account and just bought anything, everything would have went up. So like that's the stuff that scares me too. It's just like when it comes to an end, like how hurt are you? But then at the end of the day, it's like how insulated are you also? Because if you've opened every single door that you could open up right now, or at least it feels like you're opening all the doors, it's like when the drops does happen, like, are you still okay? Like, that's the kind of stuff that kind of keeps me up at night. It's like, even though I know it's going to happen, it's like, will I be okay though? And I think I will be.
Who do you think the buyers are for a lot of this stuff?
I think there's a lot of different buyers. I think there's a lot of institutional money coming in. I think there's
For
a lot of
sure.
new buyers coming in. I think crypto isn't performing as well. I think people have a lot of money. They're not going into the crypto market, they're deploying it into more tangible assets. I think we're just living in a period of crazy hype. And I think we're living into a time where these 30 to 40-year-olds are just seeing what just natural inflation is doing, looking at their retirements, looking at how much is it going to cost for me to retire, and they're just seeing like that it is in fact like a really really crazy uphill battle, and it's just well, how can I make the most money at the fastest amount of time right now, and the fastest amount is the craziest boom market we've ever seen of Pokemon. And I think it's like what's also causing it is people, they dip their toe in and then they dip their foot in and then they jumped in and the water's not too bad, and all of a sudden they're standing on the high dive and they're looking down and they're afraid of heights, but they're like, fuck it, I already dumped my whole body in, I'm just jumping in at this point. And every single time they do that, like they kept getting rewarded. One of the things that you should never do, but is like buy at all-time high sales. you know every single person who bought what we would call like blue chip, and that your definition of what a blue chip slab is could be, you know, you could have a conversation on what's a blue chip. I would say fan favorite Pokemon, low pop, high grade. That would be my three for a blue chip, right?
What's low
Say
pop?
any fan.
Sub 1,000?
I would say
Sub
sub,
300?
like, yeah, sub 150. You say any blue chip.
Ooh.
You know how hard it is to find losers in that
Sorry, I had a
last.
mosquito in my mineral room.
That's fine. I saw a
Yeah.
spider on my wall earlier. I almost thought about getting it. But you know how hard it is to find losers in the last 2 years? So like those people, they're constantly being reassured of all their purchases. And when you never make a wrong decision and you're constantly rewarded, you're going to take bigger and bigger leaps every single time, you know?
Yeah. Um, I
But sorry, one could just go back to your
Go ahead.
question. I think it's a group of a lot of people are speculating this, and I think a lot of dumb money is speculating. I think people who don't understand the market, but they understand the money's in the best cards, and that's what they're buying.
Yeah. Did you hear about that company called Meme Strategy?
Yeah, the ones who trying to buy 25% of the Van Gogh
Yeah.
population. Yeah.
Tokenizing a fund or whatever. Um, I I don't think people understand that like it doesn't take that much money to move the market and certain cards. I mean that
You could
our
have you could have 1% of a population like the Moonbryon, and 1% of the population's on the market at any given time.
yeah.
It's super easy. Like
And like where do we verify our data points? It's
comps, we're a
Fanatics,
comp culture.
eBay.
Comp
Yeah, it's a
culture.
comp culture. And like are those regulated comps? It's like
Nope.
nope.
Unregulated market.
Nope, unregulated
We're
market.
cowboy wild wild west. Then that's the problem is like you have to understand to see through the bullshit too. You know, when the Machamp from the two-player starter deck sold, I messaged James that day. I messaged Dan. I messaged Rusty. It was $60,000 for a Shadowless Machamp from the two-player starter deck. I said, James. I was a lot of F bombs in there. I was like, this isn't real. And he's like, wire transfers coming through. I'll let you know in 2 days. That's what he said. And then he said, too cheap. Dude,
Did it go through?
it went through. Confirmed
Oh my
paid
god.
sale. Look, do you know what this is?
You got $60,000 there, dude. You got to open that up.
60 there's $60,000 here. $60,000 in that box. That's a guaranteed with a gold strip.
I would
I don't
love to
know.
figure out the profile of someone who spends that much money, who is not one like a longtime collector. It's like what
I mean,
incentivizes you to it motivates you to want to spend that much money on a low power card that like frankly like no, if I say nobody has heard of that card, it's actually closer to true than the amount of people who have actually heard about it.
maybe. But then, like, Rusty sold a Wigglytuff from base set 2 for 40 grand. Like, and Rusty sent me that photo. He's like, hey, he's like, I posted it and didn't last for long. He's been selling through a lot of his collection too. Like, you get to a, the problem is you get to a point with some of this stuff where even if you get to a point where it becomes like so crazy. Does that make sense? Like some of this stuff, like the money becomes so crazy. Like it's you struggle to justify it, but then it's like it comes down to a collection identity. Like it could be a PC item, but like when you start to justify it, like I know some people in this hobby that are legit millionaires. And they live in like a two-bedroom apartment, you know? And it's like, what are you doing? And it's like, I'm a millionaire collection value. My net worth minus collection is I struggle every day. Like I can't go out to dinner, like I can't do shit. And it's like, well, why? It's like because I'm worth so much money on paper, but I have no available capital. And when I do, I just have this problem, which ends up being their best superpower, is that they just keep buying more Pokemon with it too. So they're so illiquid at all points, and I don't know. We're running into a weird time in this hobby, but then people would like the amount of people that I know have sold 10 or man, not I was gonna say 10 figure, I don't know, 10-figure cards, but like people that have sold like 4 or 5 figure cards and they have an influx of 4,000, 10,000, $15,000 and it's gone in like
Yeah.
7 days. Like it's just and it's like where did it go? It's like I bought this, this, and this. Like I already the money was spent before it hit my account and they just bought more stuff. And like it's like this crazy cycle thing too where so much of this money too is you have all-time high sales but then the money gets rinsed and repeated into the hobby. Like yeah, you can people buy paying off their house and stuff, but like look at what Dan's doing. Dan, he shows his sales a lot. He's more transparent than I am, but then Dan also shows his buys. Like the buys don't happen without the sales to begin
Yep.
with. So
Yep.
all that money is recycled into this hobby. And like we're having two things happen at once. Money being recycled, but a ton of new money coming in. Rising tides lift all ships, man. So like this money's getting recycled and like you can only pay off your house so many times. So like it's getting crazy.
Yeah, it got to the point where holding stuff in my collection. At first, it was like 4 figures. I don't think I could hold anything like that for like the longest time. Then it's like 5K. I can't hold a 5K item. And now it's like anything above that threshold, I just look at them like I can probably turn that to like 6 or 7K. If I put in some work.
Yep.
And going back to like what keeps me up at night, like I enjoy this cycle. Making money and growing the business is fun, but like I also miss the idea of like being able to sit on something because I really like it. And a lot of that stuff that I would want to obtain again, I would not pay any of the current market for, anywhere
Yeah.
near the current market for. Like it's just way too. There's a point where it's just kind of like this is thousands of dollars. Like what am I doing?
You ever have somebody say something and at the moment it's like, oh my God, I could relate to that? So during the Poke Flips today, Nick kind of talked about this. Dan asked him, he's like, do you want to sell your pack collection or your no damage Ninetales? And Nick said, I think about it all the time, but at the same time, I look around at everything else and I say, all this other stuff needs to go first too? And like, that is the best thing that could happen because but the problem is the things that you're kind of start to look at the things that are the high dollar and like the easiest liquidity too. It's like I could just send this to James and like this will be easy where like
Yeah,
the other stuff you're like, yeah, there's a lot of money here, but there's a lot of work here,
too
you
much
know?
work. Yeah, yeah. And
And
there's
I
there's
think
something around wanting to sell wanting to sell something that everyone else wants.
yeah. And it's like usually your PC items are those items that really evaluated really well. It has those blue chip fundamentals. And it's not the bulkier stuff that's hard to move. It's the cards with great fundamentals or sealed product with great fundamentals and I know like people maybe will push back on like what's fundamentals in this hobby, but like there is like true fundamentals for a lot of this stuff. Like you mentioned Rumble. Like that's a sealed Rumble box. Like, you know how much that's gone up in like the last year or two? Like it's just crazy. And it's sealed. Why? And it's like I could sell that right now and make a lot of money, or I could sell any of this other crap first. It's just I know that would be a lot easier for me to sell that because the problem is when you get higher dollar amounts, it's like you could sell one expensive item or 100 other items, and it's just like we become our own worst enemies. Like we get lazy, and then what happens is too, which is even worse, and I think this is worse psychologically for people, is they sell their high end, easy to move stuff, and they're left with the junk that they don't want anyways. They don't want to put the work in, and they look at it and they're just like, damn, you know? And it's, does that make sense too? Like you're left with the
Yeah,
junk and you sell the good stuff, and it's like, I got all these people will be like, I got a tote full of crap, and it's like, you're gonna sell it. It's like,
I'm offended. I feel targeted. I feel
targeted.
I mean, I'm definitely guilty of buying a lot. I'm primarily a Japanese collector. There's a lot of
Yeah,
Japanese stuff that people don't understand is like not desirable. Especially like Sun and Moon and Sword and Shield sets. Some of the sets are like the worst parts of like Sun and Moon base or
yeah,
Crimson Invasion, and the boxes are worth a lot, but like the sales volume is nothing. I struggle with that still to this day, where I have a storage unit of like a bunch of Japanese booster boxes, and I've sent a bunch. I sent a bunch to Greeny, and I had his wife bundle like some of them together. I'm like, just sell these as a group,
yeah,
because individually, I don't think it's gonna be worth it.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, it's tough, and if you're just buying a bunch of stuff and you don't have the collection identity that you were talking about, this is the position you get in. Is you have all this
yeah.
stuff that's like you kind of want, it's kind of worth it's kind of worth like something, but it takes way too much work to actually convert it into something that is meaningful. But you'd rather just sell 151 because like it went up 2x. Because why not? I can sell it
Why not?
very easily,
Why
right?
they look at their UPC and they're like, I want to sell this UPC, and it's like, why? It's like, why? Sell all your other crap, and it's like, yeah, but the gains like are there, and now it's worth my time to sell it. And it's like people have to get out of that mindset of like what's worth their time. Everything is worth your time to sell. It's just get rid of the stuff you don't want. And like, and I bet you a lot of people are looking at all their stuff that they don't want to put the effort into selling. But if like they could flip a magic light switch and turn all that into instant liquidity and instant capital, they would do it. But they don't want to do it. Or, people do get so worried too is they see what their 151 UPC is doing, but then they look at their Vivid Voltage ETB and they have five Vivid Voltage ETBs. And they're like, eventually Vivid Voltage ETBs will have its day. And they have that thought in their head, you know? So they're like, I have to wait for this to have its day. While this other product is already having its day right now and probably has a better long term track record, I would rather sell that product and keep the other thing and wait for it to have its day. And I will keep waiting on it, and then the day never comes. Does that make sense too?
I mean, to be fair, there was a time when buying
Mm,
Vivid Voltage ETBs was the best
sure.
idea
I
ever.
I talk
And
about
then
it
they
on my old
printed
videos.
that they
Yeah,
printed that
that and
to the
Darkness
ground
Ablaze. Yeah,
in Darkness
$150 at
Ablaze.
ETB. Yeah.
I um
And Rebel
I've
Clash
been
never got a reprint. Oh, trust me, I
Rebel
get it.
Clash, no. Guardians Rising,
Yep.
no.
Yep.
I've been selling a lot of sealed as of late, and over the last 3 or 4 months, the stuff that I have to go down to, if I wanted to sell, like 75%, I've even been offered like 70%, is typically older Japanese sealed.
Yep. The problem is the modern market too. They just move to what they know, and it it takes a level of effort for people to get down the rabbit hole that people aren't talking about too. You know, like, and it's sometimes people they just don't know stuff exists too, which is fine. Like I talk about this all the time. Like anybody who tells you they know everything about Pokemon, run away. Like turn around, don't walk, run. Like they're full of shit. No one knows everything. But you could acquire information over time, and it just some of that stuff takes a long time. Like a lot of the I know all the Pokemon sets. I know every single e-reader set. I know them in order. I know when they set came out. I know the hits. Hell, if I could tell you like the Japanese equivalent of like these, and I've been studying that stuff for years and years. Like okay, maybe like Town of No Map for Aquapolis or Mysterious Mountains for
Split
Skyreach, but
Earth.
like remove, yeah, Split Earth. Remove out of those. like well-known ones, super dust,
There's only four.
No,
Splitters.
like I'm talking about like the power keepers equivalent
Oh,
of
oh, oh.
Japanese.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
talking yeah. I'm talking
Yeah.
like
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
what is Diamond and Pearl Mysterious Treasures? What's the Japanese equivalent name? Like I
Yeah.
couldn't tell you, but I could tell you Mysterious Treasures was the was DP2. I could tell you DP3 was Secret Wonders. I could obviously Diamond Pearl Base was DP1. Like I could tell you that. Like, but I can't tell you what any of well maybe Diamond and Pearl is Diamond and Pearl in Japanese, but I don't know. I don't know any of this stuff.
One of
So,
my early motivations when I got into the hobby, I used to watch a lot of S and Pratt stuff, like
oh yeah, it's nuts.
religiously. It's funny because I watched them again in 2021, and I legitimately thought I was watching a video from 2016 because he's been recording those videos, well, back then, the same way in the
In the
same
same
spot
desk.
for
Yeah.
literally the 5 years before then.
Hey
Um,
everybody, SM Pratt.
um, have I shared with you my favorite pastime in the hobby?
No.
So I got this from him. Not what I do, but the idea of it. How like nobody can be an expert, and there's always space to be an expert in something if you want it to be. Because no
Hmm.
one knows what happened in Japanese modern versus Japanese vintage versus English modern and English vintage and mid era like this week versus last week. Like it's impossible to know that and keep up with that, right?
Hmm.
And just hearing that's why I spend a lot of time on Bulletpedia. Like I made videos on this my channel, but the most free thing that you can do, no cost. You sit down, grab a drink, coffee in the morning or drink at night, and you literally just go through every single Bulbapedia entry for any era, any promo, English
Yeah.
or Japanese, and you just study like why was this card rare? How was it obtained? And you look up like how much is it now? And just through doing that, like you will learn so much about the hobby.
You you will become an expert you will gain access to information. You become an expert so much faster by knowing those because you have now by reading those one articles, you put yourself in a single 1 percentile of people that know some of that stuff. Does that make sense? Like because James showed it was just a quick sale of reverse hollow reporter, TV news reporter from EX Dragon, the reverse hollow. Like if you know, you know. If you don't, you don't. Like it was reprinted in Dragon Frontiers, but like there's an EX Dragon one. It was just wasn't the reverse hollow never came out in English. There was like a couple. It was like a later print. It was available in the UK. You could get like uh and it's just a regular reverse hollow and it's super expensive and it's just like you are in a very very small percentile of the entire people in the world that now know that because you read an article one time. And I remember the article I read, it was like through like a PSA article magazine where it's funny, and the reason I thought of it is because you mentioned SM Pratt. SM Pratt was quoted in the magazine and he was talking about that EX Dragon, TV reporter, and I found out about that because of him. And at the time there was only like 6 known graded copies. I think the number, shout out to Joe Echo Base Collectibles, he talks about it too. But like it's just like you read one article one time and you are in the 1 percentile of people that know about something like that. And then it brings you in an example where you're going through a binder one day and you come across a reverse hollow TV reporter from EX Dragon and your world stops because you're like, oh my God. And you do that. And you do that with so many cards or just understand like one of the big cards that are popping right now are some regular hollows from some of these Diamond and Pearl sets. Dan talked about it a little bit on Pokeflips today. And it's like, yeah, if you could identify stuff like that, or some of these, like Call Legend Shinies and stuff, like probably more people could identify those, but honestly, maybe they couldn't. You know, it's just like identifying cards, identifying like theme deck variants, like identifying like the non-hollow versions versus the Cosmos. We're seeing everybody who's been super successful with Neo Rev with the double hollows and stuff. It's like you start to be able to identify shit like that. Like you you think everyone else knows it, but they just don't. And you put yourself in such a small percentile of people that with very limited, and that's the thing I think where people are so successful too is with very limited knowledge. People can be hyper successful in this hobby, if that makes sense, and doing exactly what you said.
I mean, just about what's the saying? Riches and niches.
Riches in the niches, yeah.
I mean, it's like the hobby is so big to the point where you just can't keep track of everything. And that means like people who compete with you, the person who's competing with you on like I don't know, cracked ice promos from Sun and Moon or I don't know, double hollows from Neo Rev or whatever. Like the
Yeah.
number of people who are doing that actively today are not hitting up all the local shows, right? They're not able to.
No.
So there's just like so
Yeah.
much space for you to operate in. And I think like when if I were new, like I'd be really excited because that stuff is not really gate kept. It's more so like, hey, are you going to stop spending so much time like chasing modern cards and opening up modern and watching all this content about modern? Or are you going to do a little bit of homework, which is free, right? And just study,
Yeah.
figure out like this record sale for this double hollow. What was it, Magikarp, right?
Yeah.
That
Oh
went for
God.
like 6 figures.
It was, yeah, it was like big make believe expensive.
Like to be honest with you, I didn't know what double hollow was for that era and set until I heard about it through that
Oh,
sale.
see? Yeah. And that's it. And it's just like, and now everyone could go and read the Bulbapedia articles and you identify or go to E4 and there's going to be photos and there's going to be some old, and everybody becomes an expert at that. But like, that's the thing. It's like now you're going to have more competition because of that, you know? But just going back to kind of what you were saying, it's just like, you know, and even like, yeah, I don't know. It's just crazy though. But yeah, the knowledge is power. I know it's like a cliche, like saying, right, knowledge is power, but it's true. Like in this hobby, and I just feel like with limited skill sets, you can be hyper successful. And it's not about being an expert at everything. It's just like constantly learning and being like a very well-rounded person in this hobby, you know? And I think that advice you just gave, just like spend time with your morning coffee, reading some Bulbapedia articles, like or just knowing cards, no sets, you know, like, know what number, how many cards are in a set, you know, what's the secret rares, very simple stuff like that.
I mean, I generally have a good memory on like gem rates for a lot of modern cards or full alternate arts from like Sword and Shield.
Yeah.
And so like anytime I see a Giratina, for example, that's raw, I will look at it just because its gem rate's like I don't know 30% or whatever. It's harder to
Yeah.
grade compared to the other alt arts. But it's stuff like
Yeah.
that. It's like you just know you're gonna look real quick. If you see like a raw, I don't know. Really, it's like any top chase in Sword and Shield. If it's raw, quick peek. Okay, there's a reason why it's still raw. But I would check
Yeah.
like almost every single one just because it's like you just remember these things, right? And I'm not even like looking for this stuff on that day. But if I go by a booth or a table and I see one, like I want to look at it just because I know, right now I think they're going for like 2,800, which is or 2,600, which is crazy. The Giratina rather,
Yeah.
which is crazy, right? But it's
I
it's
sold the
just like,
9 when the set was released for like 299.
oh god,
Yeah, I think I spent like $100 to grade it.
it
uh,
just like pays dividends to just understand this stuff. And I'm again, I'm like I'm not in the market to buy that card. But if the opportunity presents itself where I can inspect one very quickly for 5 seconds and it's raw, but you only get to that point where you like really study the stuff.
yeah. People are talking about like once you learn modern cycles, and it's just, yeah, you learn all this stuff and you just, like you said, learn condition, learn pops, learn what's up, and then you'll snap by stuff and you'll take chances. And then things I tell people all the time too is like identify the cards that you don't lose your ass in a nine. Like the cards that you can make money in a nine, they exist. They're not a lot, but like that is the most beautiful thing that exists in this hobby is like cards to make money in nines. And like usually those plays dry up and they get optimized, but like why they're there. And I talked about this and maybe you could kind of talk if you have any experience on this. The amount of people that I've met who have been super successful doing a play, and then one day they just stopped doing it. And it wasn't because it stopped working, they just stopped doing it. It's like, oh, I did that. And it's like, oh, I was doing that for a while. And it's like, well, what happened? It stopped working. No, why? And it's like the amount of people that say I don't know on stuff like that. Do you have anything that like come
I
to
mean,
your mind where you're like, why did I
so
stop doing this?
okay, so um, I bought like 200 pairs of the super premium collection evolutions, Umbreon
Yep.
and Espeon. I think at the time I had the opportunity to buy 500 pairs. Why did I not buy 500 pairs? Well, I didn't think that the Umbreon was going to like 2x in price or whatever it went up to.
You're talking
And
about the figure collection box? Yeah, yeah.
yeah, so I bought 200 pairs graded. I mean, most of the CGC ones you see on alt are probably mine over the last few months. Um, but like, why didn't I get more? Well, that faucet was like one, I thought I could get more in the future, but I also didn't know going in because I didn't have any understanding of print quality. Right, there's no way to check that ahead of time in volume,
Yeah,
and the opportunity to get that was like it was basically I had to get back to the guy within like a week,
yeah,
and um, I mean I think the importance of staying liquid is stuff like that, where yeah, I would have repeated it, but instead of buying like 10 copies or 10 pairs or 20 pairs, I bought, you know, a lot of them.
yeah,
Um, so there's like some plays that I will go back and repeat, but you know, I have a hard time sourcing because I don't go to shows as much as I want to, and I'm not able to compete with, a lot of you guys who have like operations, streaming operations.
yeah. Because
So
they're
my
paying
ability to
high
get
percent.
card access to cards is really sniping eBay for like misgraded cards, going to shows and buying from vendors, or going to card shops, which I don't really have that many around me.
Yeah, it kind of goes to this um super chat. NSA says, "Do you guys feel grading plays to be harder now? Feels like shows don't have as many." Yeah, I think I don't go to enough shows to grade, but I'm sure a lot of that stuff has just been picked over. It's just been so ultra optimized by so many people. But
You'd be
I just
surprised.
yeah. But like what you were saying about grading plays, I feel like there's so many unoptimized nines that exist on the market. Especially you're Japanese guys, you said bought a lot of Japanese cards in the past. Like the amount of Japanese nines that are potential 10 candidates that are people are willing and like huge price disparities. I think a perfect example would be like all the Munch Scream promos. Like the amount of nines that exist in that card that could be crossed over to tens is staggering, and people just don't do it. And I thought about the other day because, again, to show my stream on Saturday, we have a mislabeled Poncho EV, or I would say Poncho, excuse me, Scream EV and a Scream Psyduck with, they switched the label PSA. Like the EV said Psyduck, the Psyduck says EV. I'll show you.
Wait, what? Is it a nine?
Yeah. Show you. Yeah, so
How is it priced?
I don't know. We're just dollar auctions.
iFOMO asks how much my inventory contributes from shows or is from shows. Oh, let me see this.
So,
Oh my God,
see,
that is hilarious. So wait,
Psyduck.
you where did you get that?
Dan sent these for the mega stream. So they're both nines. So if you look, the cert's off by one. So they just swapped them over. So they put the wrong cert when they went to encapsulate. They put the Psyduck on the EV on the Psyduck. But
Those are one of one
I,
errors, man.
dude, I looked over these cards
10
and
candidates?
the EV not so much, but the Psyduck, yes.
I'll pay you 120% of a 9 for the Psyduck
You
right
could
now.
go buy it. You could go buy it
You can
for.
hedge this opportunity.
They're not mine to sell. You could buy it for $1 on tomorrow's live or Saturday's live.
But yeah, at Card Party, I bought a bunch of slabs in like nines, 9.5s,
Yeah.
and
Well,
I will
especially
gladly look at them and crack them.
CGC Blue Label 95s, like with the right cert number, that 3839, like buy those. Like they're super clean. I mean, and then this is the thing too, is like I know I should do a Beckett Black Label play, and I just can't bring myself to do it. I've tried in the past and I got so wrecked. And I just couldn't like bring myself to do it again. But
I graded
and
one Black Label card.
nice. Which one was it?
It was a Final Fantasy Magic card, and the funny thing about that whole set, it's printed out of Japan, the English version, and all the surge foils. There's more BGS 10s than any other grading company grades. So the BGS 95s, PSA 10s, and the rate is like very, very, very high. Sorry, the rate is very high, not the total quantity.
Yeah.
So you have a better chance of getting a BGS 10 than a BGS 9.5 for all those cards.
Wow. Yeah, that must be amazing print quality then.
Yeah, it's pretty good. But same thing. I've submitted probably like a few hundred cards to BGS.
Yeah, it's dark. I mean, especially
Dark
when you
man.
get hit with like Beckett 95s and that Beckett 9 or the I mean, even now Beckett Gold Label Pristine 10s are okay, but there was a while where those were pretty dark too. Like you just wish you sent them the PSA or the 9.5 where and the problem is I send, well, I was sending my candidates that were like the guaranteed tens. So not only do you send your best condition copies, you get like double wrecked.
Quad 9.5s is the biggest slap in the face. It's like,
Yeah.
why?
Yeah.
Um, do you believe in any of the grading um, old wives' tales around
Like
people? You can't submit multiple cards in a row
I do that all the time. I
or any of that stuff?
no, I mean I submit cards all the time, like the same cards. I've had submissions that were 70 out of 70 tens. People call cap. It's like old YouTube short on here. It was all old made cards, but like you could submit the same card. Um, I do believe in like you put your cleaner copies like in the back and you put your crappier copies in the front or vice versa, like depending on if
I
you're
think
trying
that
to
would
get
work.
ones. Yeah,
So
I do that.
if you just accept the fact that like grading is a subjective output at the end of the day,
Hmm.
and that means that the person who is deciding that is run off of emotion and like who they are, how they feel, then yeah, I totally believe that like some of those tactics could work. But I do not believe that consistently it will work because there's probably some people who take their jobs very seriously
Yeah.
or they have a very
Or
particular way of grading.
I recommend don't put like your cleanest WotC hollow that you're trying to like get a moonshot 10 with like Japanese quality cards or Chinese quality cards. Like I wouldn't put that in the same submission. Like I wouldn't do it. Like I keep my vintage, but this is something that I brought up to Charlie, and I would like to get your thoughts on it too. Like, um, PSA grading standards should be the same no matter the grading tier. Like, your whether it's bulk or whether it's express walkthrough. Like PSA's grading standards are PSA's grading standards. The only difference you pay for is the speed at which you get the cards back. So if you send them at bulk, the grading tier should be the same as walkthrough because that's it. It's PSA grading scale. And you just, the difference in value is the speed at which your card gets graded or potential value, but the grading scale is the same. Do you put validity into the fact that if you spend more money, you get different grades? Meaning
Like
that
in
which would
favor,
yeah, so like if let's say you would you say that like it's easier for you to get like a WotC 10 at a higher $100 express or whatever level versus bulk? Or do you think that no, the grading scales are the same and you will still get that same 10? It will take longer.
if I think operationally how they're set up, and I'm totally just guessing, there is probably a squad of people who are dedicated to different eras of cards. They probably match expertise with like submissions. That said, though, how does that work if you have a submission that has a bunch of different eras? I don't think they split that up. It probably goes to, okay, there's 50 card submission, 45 of them are modern, 5 of them are vintage. Let's just send it to Paul. Paul's like the modern guy. And then vice versa. 50 card submission, 45 of them are vintage, 5 of them are modern. Hey, Luke, you dude in the back, whatever, vintage guy, like you grade it. Like I think that's probably more how they're set up. In terms of like the dollar tiers, I can tell you from personal experience, up to $100, there's no magic there. I just got wrecked on the Gengar from Ascended Heroes. I pulled it. It it's a clean like it's a 10. And like the notes are like, oh, front centering top to bottom. I'm like, there's the front centering looks fine.
Yeah.
I send it at $80 or $75. And so I've had that's like one time, but I've done that multiple times where it's like I think they just like quickly grade it and like, yeah, whatever. And they the funny thing is the funniest thing is like the notes sometimes don't make it don't match with like what's going on with the card. I don't know if you've
That's
had
rough
that
too.
before, but
No, I
like
don't send anything at high tiers like that.
I've done it, 50 times in the last 5 or 6 years, 50 total items. And
Yeah.
I can't honestly tell you that if I graded at that tier, it's helped. If anything,
Hmm.
it's very inconsistent. Now, like at several hundred, actually, my ponchos that I've cracked from CGC 10s, I submitted at $300 because you might as well do that if you're gonna grade a poncho. Well, at least back then, um, they got 10s, and two of them were both a little off center, no notes. I just got a 10. So I don't know. Maybe at the high end, they have some type of process, but I think honestly, people just gotta accept like this is just random. You're gonna get a guy or girl who rolls into work. They had a bad day. They fought with their spouse. They didn't get any sleep. Their kid's crying. They come in. They got their coffee. They have no sleep. They got to grade 1,000 cards, and lo and behold, they're grading your 50 card submission, and they see 10 of the same card, and they're like, I'm done with this, and they just give it all nines or whatever, or they give
Yeah.
it all tens, and they move on to the next. Like that's realistically probably what happens. But this is why I'm actually a big fan of Tag, not sponsored by Tag, but just saying in general. If they can get it right, which they probably won't
Which
because
they
it's going to take a lot
can't.
of
They
data.
haven't. I don't
They
like
haven't,
tag
right?
because they
The
haven't. I
the
mean,
idea of it,
they're way less inconsistent. I mean, the fact that they have never, to my understanding, I have never. This is crazy to say never about Graydon. That there's never been anybody that's ever submitted the same card twice the tag with their like ultimate um scan who got the
yeah,
same scan back. How is that possible? Shout out to Java. Java sent a
oh
card
yeah,
to
yeah,
Tag, which you can say whatever you want about Tag. Like the system's learning, the dude got different centering grades back on the same card from Tag. Tag's system cannot correctly identify centering twice the same. That is the most wild. That's the one thing that is impossible to change on a card, and they sent back different centering grades on Java's card. Like Tag is so far the most inconsistent grading. I mean, their grading scale is terrible. Like Josh, he graded a creature deck Zapdos with Tag, and it had a so. If you guys don't know Josh's story, Josh has a great story. I'll probably butcher like the exact process, but like it was originally like PSA, came back a 9. He sent it to CGC at like, or he started as a CGC 9.5. He sent it to PSA, it hit a 9. He cracked it out, sent it back to PSA or CGC. It came back another grade, cracked out it again, accidentally crimped the card as he was popping it open, sent it back to CGC. It came back a 6.5 because it was like had a dent in it. And then he's like, screw it. I dented this card. I'll send it the tag. They gave the they gave the surface like a perfect like 1,000 or whatever. It had a huge dent in it. They ended up giving it his first ever Gem Mint 10 on this Creature's X Zapdos. He tried it as many times as he could, and it took till tag to like their system that freaking not be able to identify a huge dent in the card.
I mean, I like the
Several
idea.
several
Yeah,
5-figure card. And then Josh makes a video, and then Tag comes in over the top and deactivates his cert on him because Josh makes a video and doesn't give him a financial guarantee on it. They give him 20 free grading credits. Dude, that is such a bad business. Like tag is the worst. Like they're so bad. It's crazy. It's crazy how bad tag is. The fact that you can't find me one singular card that has been submitted to tag twice in a row and with the same grades is so crazy.
I think they should not have promised that it would be that
That's
that would have happened.
it's
And
so, and their customer service is so bad. Did you see the dude who cracked the card in this is
oh
slab
yeah,
and like
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
tag customer service was like bullying the dude in the chat in a lot of people's opinions? Like,
That was the untrained customer service rep for sure.
dude, how is your customer service the worst in the industry? Like, what? Like their tag is bad. I don't like anything about it. Like, and then they wrote that their slabs were intentionally made to be brittle, like to compete against. It's like, I thought they were making it up. Like it felt like it was like a Reddit forum where somebody was messing around with tag, like pretending to be a tag account, and it all ended up being true. Like it seems made up. And I know that there's people that have trimmed cards and sent it the tag, and they've graded them. Like
I
they
cut them.
can't even can't even identify trim cards. Like tag is so bad. It's
All right.
crazy.
The idea.
Oh, I mean
Here,
AI,
let's
yeah, I
just
mean I
let's just
guess,
cut
but
out the last
just
3 minutes.
don't put out
The
don't put
idea of
out
like
a system that can't do that.
the idea of not having an objective scale determined by a subjective opinion.
Yeah, I mean
I mean, it's never
that
really,
makes
it's probably
sense.
never going to happen because you just, there's so much nuance and like, you know, I,
I mean,
this sounds
if you
weird.
can't do if you can't do centering twice in a row the same grade, like it's
Yeah,
scary.
that's a
It's
little weird.
scary.
But I'm of the opinion with grading, like, I actually think different eras should have different scales and standards.
Hmm.
I mean,
I
it
think
sounds weird,
that's
but like,
no, I
that would,
agree, and I think that's where the grader comes in. Like they understand like certain cards just have certain issues, and like and I think the problem is people want tends to be perfect. And if you ever go and actually read the PSA standards, like tens are not perfect. But
yeah.
no, I mean, to go back to like tag, I guess I understand the thought of it, but like, and then I've seen weird things where I used to call tags thing AI, and then I got destroyed one time in the comments that it's not AI, it's machine learning, which I don't really understand the difference. But then it's like the sys and then the tag representatives, or I can't even tell if these are like the owners or what, these shills, but they were like the system's still learning. And it's like that scares me because I come from the world of PSA grading where like people don't want old PSA labels because they're like, oh, PSO, PSA 2, PSA, oh, look at that. That's a 001 old label. That's a 1 cert. That's a 2 cert. And people are like, oh, that's not as valuable as a modern one. It's like, well, what does that mean about tag? Like, does that mean we're just going to say all tag slabs like before a certain date are misgraded? Like, what? It's
I
so
mean,
weird.
but PSA, like,
Yeah. But, but like PSA never pretends that that's like that they're like always consistent, or at least not to the numbers that like Tag has said.
yeah. I mean, I think,
I mean, I've had Nat Turner on. I've asked him that question about Graydon, and like he's just like, yeah, I mean, it's human input. Like there's there's biases that, but like we work on our grading scales to be like consistent the best we can. But like I've never seen anybody like defend PSA as like consistency where I have seen that with tag, if that makes sense.
PSA is consistent in that they get everyone paid because people pay for the slabs.
Yeah, PSA, please submit
That's
again.
it.
I mean, but
That's it.
like there's a difference in like what you are doing versus what you're saying, and tag has not proved to me. Like I can't find you one example. How is that possible? Like I maybe somebody will make the video one day where they're like, "Hey, I did the whole tag grading and every single scan it was identical." And like Java made the best video to like highlight that that is not possible. Like and nobody had really done a sample size before Java. And like Java's video is great. Everyone should go back and watch that.
I graded the Bulbasaur stamp promo box topper.
From Mega Evolution's base. Yeah,
I submitted 7 in a row, got six tens.
that's good
So
tag.
no,
Oh,
with PSA. And that Bulbasaur is like a 10% gem rate too. So I don't know. Maybe they maybe they like my submission.
yeah. I mean, the thing is like we put so much value into these grades, and I talked about it earlier. It's like talked about that Raichu, like the amount of vintage tens that exist on the market. Like you can't resubmit any of these. Like no one would ever do it as a test, except for Logan Paul. But who knows what really happened when he cracked that Charizard and submitted to Beckett? Like, but with the exception of that one exception that I can think of, like no one cracks tens to resubmit. Like, why would you ever do that? Like, once they're a 10, they're always a 10, unless PSA damage your Deoxys and
Oh
encapsulation or
God.
something. But you know what I'm saying? Like, no, there is no way to reproduce that. But with a tag 10, Java did do that, and they were not reproducible.
Can I just say it's really scary to me how people do not understand like general terms of service with a company like PSA.
Yeah,
And
like
like
the arbitration thing or that
I
or
mean just like if you just read how they would resolve these things, they're not hiding it, right? And I think people just have this expectation because they believe the company should be like their friend or do right by the people. But like, and the guy probably got compensated close to market if I had to guess. Um, Otherwise, why would he sign the NDA? And why would he make that post? But like, I think people just got to wake up. Like, you are a consumer. You are not. Uh, you don't. You're not. You don't. What am I trying to say? You don't get any rights, right? You're using another company's service. They're paying you. You're submitting to their service. You're getting, their grades. It's like it's not meant to be fair. And if you don't like it, that's why CGC exists. That's why
yeah.
Tag exists. That's why there's other companies, right? I think people are so um, there's a lot of naivety in our hobby, and they're so trusting of like the system and how things work. And oh well, that's how everyone else does it. That when these things come up, like everyone's in pitchforks, but it's like you guys, PSA has a good stranglehold on everything that we do,
Yeah.
and it's been as clear as day what like what they're doing.
Yeah. Well,
So
like,
don't be
I want to,
surprised.
yeah. Well, I don't want to like throw shade at this comment, like, but you said like sometimes people in the hobby could be naive, but like Sky Ninja said, respectively, tag doesn't steal and damage my cards. Can't trust grading my high value grails with PSA. Sky Ninja, if you think that tag has never damaged a card since they've
They
been
all do.
around, that is the craziest take I have ever seen. Like I promise you, Tag has damaged cards in the past. Like just because they haven't damaged yours, like, and I don't know like the whole stealing cards. I don't understand. Do we have any confirmed PSA or CGC or Beckett stealing cards that we know of? Like I don't know. That seems
I
like a
mean, I don't.
little
I would.
hyper.
Did they
That seems
walk
like a
into?
hyperbolic
Did he get
statement.
robbed? I mean,
I,
it's like an N of one, right? It's like
that seems like a crazy take. Like, but see, like that's the thing. It's like I
it
don't want to say
happens.
it's naiveness of the hobby, but it's like to say tags never damage a card. That's just crazy. But like maybe because it's never happened to you, but it maybe that's the thing too. It's like maybe people just take things that are very anecdotal sample sets. Like you never had your cards graded or damaged. So like let's say I never had a card graded or damaged by PSA, or maybe you haven't, or maybe somebody else hasn't. They're like PSA never damages cards because they've never damaged mine. That is so anecdotal. Like, and Nat Turner came on this channel and we talked about damaging cards, and he says at the volume they do it's just an unfortunate reality. Like eventually, you know, cards get damaged. And one of the like most dangerous processes they do, like that Deoxys that got damaged, is cracking slabs and like
It's a thick card
reholdering
too.
cards.
It's
It's
not the
the
same
it's the
thickness.
yeah, it's the I mean, shout out to Josh the Green Shiz. We talked about that Creature's X Aptos. That was damaged. It was because he cracked it out and it got pinched. Like things unfortunately do happen, but like Nat Turner came on, he said, they have implemented like a AI system where when the card is in the slab, like it won't sonically weld it if it recognizes that the card is out of place. But unfortunately, like even that doesn't happen all the time. But like they are actively working on processes to make it better. But
I
it
mean,
takes
in that
time.
case, it's probably fair to say that no one's ever reslabbed that card before that guy,
Uh,
if I had to guess.
the Deoxys, oh, probably not. I mean, if he
Yeah.
had I don't even know. Did he have an old label that he wanted,
He had a
or
two
was
cert,
it? And he just
like
wanted
a,
the new label.
I mean, the two certs are, those, some of those two certs are real ugly.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
It's like super old. Um,
yeah.
but yeah, I mean, that stuff happens. I just find it so funny how people get really, really worked up about this stuff, but they themselves will probably never be in this position. Like most people will never submit a card to get re-encased.
The
Most
amount of
people will
people
never
that
own a
probably
five-figure
didn't know
card.
reholder services
Yeah.
existed until this card was damaged. Like, but and the crate. So like, this is the takes that are had. It's like people are like, I've seen people ask in comments like, do you think PSA is cooked? It's like, bro,
No.
if PSA dropped their grading fees to $10 tomorrow, do you know how many cards would get delivered to PSA? There would be people driving tractor trailer trucks backing into their loading docks and saying, grade all these. Like, they couldn't do that. Like, people don't understand the sheer demand. And like, PSAs, they're a faucet. And when they want to keep that faucet from being wide open, they raise the prices of grading. And it's because of the raise in price of grading that is limiting the amount of cards that are dumping into PSA. I promise you. Like, use the G word. Dan never likes to use the G word. I'll guarantee you, PSA would be flooded with cards if they dropped the $10 grade. And like, they can make money at that level. Like, but like, there's just unquenchable demand, and like to say PSA is cooked, like people are not looking at like gem rate data, the sheer amount of cards that is going in, and like a lot of the cards like that are being graded, like these tags and these CGCs and stuff, like a lot of the times they're being used out of a need opposed to a want. And the need is I need to turn and burn my cards. I can't wait and I want cheaper grading. They need that. They don't want that. They want the PSA slab. But it costs more and the turnaround times suck. And it's because of those two limiting factors that they go with these other companies. If those two factors go away, the cost of grading is cheaper than CGC and the turnaround time is faster than CGC, which I don't think that's happening because I don't think PSA is cooked. But that is crazy to think like PSA is cooked because of this one-off thing that is your deep. The amount of people that don't know what a lenticular deoxys was, but I just it's
Yeah. It's we're in a very pitchforky time. I mean, they
yeah.
grade let's a million plus slabs a month, 2 million.
I think it's
So
like 2 million. I mean, I could look at gem rate.
if you just assume they're doing it at bulk rate, that's 40 million. Oops, 40 million revenue a month from just grading fees. That's like very conservative because it's assuming bulk. They
Yeah.
also get like 8% of every sale in the vault, if I had to guess. And then they're also doing helping their buyers do the digital mystery packs. Like they're making a ton of money. Forking up 40,000, 30,000, whatever it is, just to like calm everyone down is like not that much. If anything, it probably took them a while because they wanted to make sure they didn't set a terrible precedent of people just complaining and then getting things because the community wanted it. That's my guess, at least.
All right. Let me am I sharing this screen right now?
Yep.
All right. So this is items graded yesterday. So, I mean, just look at the sheer numbers. So, let's see. Items graded yesterday. PSA 97,000 versus CGC 33,000. And think of that 33,000. How much of that is Dan? You know?
I did 2000
And then
in January to February, like a month and a half.
and look at the tag amount of cards that are graded 1.8 thousand. And think
Oh, that's
about
yesterday
how
though.
yeah, I know. But I'm just saying, think about the liquidity of a tag slab versus a PSA slab. Now imagine if you invert, if like you could invert these numbers where you put tag at the top and tag did 97,000 and PSA did 1.8. The price premium that would exist on a PSA slab would be so crazy.
That's
PSA,
about 2 million a month.
um,
I mean,
am I
tag
still?
doing 1,800
So
slabs a
this,
day.
so this is February items graded. Am I still sharing this? So 1.86 million for PSA. CGC was a little, or we'll call it a quarter of it. Beckett, tag, and then SGC. They've really like moonlighted SGC. But like the reason PSA is king, like it's gonna take so much to ever dethrone. I don't know.
They are 40 times bigger than tag,
So crazy.
month over month, at least 40 times. Um, I had to tell you this, man, but I might have to wrap it up.
Yeah. Oh no worries. I know we went for a lot longer than I actually said we were originally gonna go. So, but no, Ern, it was a good conversation, dude. We need to do this again in the future. I still can't believe this is the first time you've ever been on the channel.
I mean, it's the first time we've actually talked.
Yeah, yeah, true. That's
Yeah.
crazy too. I feel like I've known you forever though.
It's funny. I'll go to like shows and like talk to people for the first time, and there's it makes me feel good because there's like a familiarity to the conversation. But sometimes I take a step back. I'm like, how many people have just heard me just talk to myself for like hours and hours at a time? They're just like, nodding in the background, like, yeah, yeah, yeah. It's fun. I have a good time, and our group of friends, like everyone's good people. It's fun to
Yeah,
be in cards and have a good network of people that you can hang out with and talk to.
yeah. So for anybody out there, we do have a link for Ern's YouTube channel. It's the very top link. As soon as you click on the description, do you got anything you want to talk about before you go? Anywhere else you want to send people?
Well, first, I just want to clarify. I do not sell altered cards. I just want to make sure that is I close out and say that. Um, my channel's down below. I do a podcast with Jodo Jake. Shout out Jodo Jake. Every other week, called Real Collectors, Fake Investors. Tune in for that. But other than that, man, that's really it. Subscribe to the
Yeah,
channel, and hit me up.
awesome. All right. Well, chat. With that said, I know I could speak for myself. I'm sure I could speak for Ern. Guys, if it wasn't for you guys, we wouldn't be making content to anybody. So it's really because of you guys that we make this content. And I just want to say thank you to every single one of you guys that watch this either real time or after the fact. Everybody out there, be happy, be healthy, be safe, and we'll catch you all in the next video. Later.